Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And yes, you got it right. Pre-drinks are over. It is time for the real main event of the weekend. And if people thought United were the headline yesterday, well, we're going to make Chelsea the headline today. And we cannot wait for today's game. Of course, we are joined by Jack. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
What was it, Dave? Man United tears. We're kind of, for late night drinks, yesterday. Hopefully we're going to be enjoying some Chelsea tears, probably better tasting because all the voodoo and all the hoodoo might be gone if we're able to get a result today. A lot of buildup, I would say, has gone into this one too. So I'm really looking forward to it. It feels like maybe if, all the, things come together, maybe Spurs fans might just be on top of the mountain. Who knows? We might have a minor setback. I think I'd still feel just the same about our confidence in the league, but it's a huge day, Dave. I think so much has built up to this.
No, 100%, Jack. I mean, by the time we're finished with Chelsea, the only thing they'll need to sign is a mechanic, Jack, because Thomas the Tank Engine will be broken. I cannot wait. The Godfather. I mean, no better game to have you, my man. How are you keeping, brother?
Yes, this is a game you normally look forward to with a lot of trepidation and fear, but not today. Let's face it, we win 3-0 today and we're back top of the league again. And that's not, and not being, sorry, say it again. That's been realistic because I think the way we've started and the way Chelsea have started slow, we can do it today. And there's no reason why we can't.
Nah, look, I'm feeling confident. That confident I could nearly give up the lottery numbers, to be honest with you. I am absolutely buzzing. James, my man, how are you keeping, brother?
Very good, thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, absolutely buzzing for the game like you guys. Normally, I'd be absolutely bricking it for the game, but I don't want to say I'm as confident as you guys, but I am. It's a great time to play them, isn't it? It's a very good time to play them, and looking forward to it. I think it will still be a tight game, but I could be completely wrong. But I'm buzzing for the game, buzzing to talk about it, lads. Thanks for having me.
No, I cannot wait. Look, we're going to leave Chelsea like a teenage girl, absolutely not in that top, no goals whatsoever. I cannot wait. But let's welcome some people into the stream. We have Zuki Spurs, big up Tottenham, have come to conquer, my man. No better time to say that. We've got THFC, Till I Die Says, ladies and gentlemen, live from Kildare, Ireland and Brooklyn, New York. It's time for the mighty Tottenham Hotspur to at last show Chelsea who's the boss. So let's stand together and show them who's boss. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Big up, Dermot. He says, in the green, white and orange corner, he came from the fighting county of Kildare. He is Harry Kane's biggest fan. So everyone, let's hear for the one and only David, Harry Kane, Harris Hotspur. Well, Dermot, my man, Harry Kane is set to break 2 records today. He's chasing down Sergio Aguero for the most Premier League goals scored for one club. He is currently 2 behind him, and he's also chasing down Thierry Henry for most goals in London derbies, and he is 2 behind him as well. So could be breaking records today, my man. Absolutely love that. We've got who else? Dermot says, and ladies and gentlemen, live from the home of Iron Mike Tyson. He is the best stats man around. So everyone, let's hear for the one and only Jack Stats man's son, Kaniki. Absolutely love that.
Come on, Dermot.
Says, and last but not least, he is the godfather.
Oh, he's on overtime.
And he says, go. So everyone, if the godfather tells you to do something, do it, or he might put Sky Sports on you. He's working overtime today. Big up, Dermo. Welsh Gal says, big up, lads. Let's put smackdown on Chelsea today. Greetings to the fabulous Harris Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Welsh Gal.
Love that.
Nick Hermlock says, good afternoon, Jack and Dave. Come on, you.
Big up, Mick.
You Spurs. Big up, my man. Scott Barndon says, need front 3 to score and a clean sheet. Go. Come on, you Spurs. Foggy Foam is in the house, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Good to see you, brother. Dark Song G says, guys, it's finally the time to beat the Blues at Stamford Bridge. Also, we should have a better bench than them and a forward line. Tanguy plus Lascelles, so leaving because of the Don. Man United losing 4-0 to Brentford. Laughing my ass off. I mean, first of all, it's great to see Tanguy end on belly, hopefully off to Napoli. What I will say, he won't get away with treating that club the way he's treating our club because them fans will not put up with it over there. And Lascelles, good riddance. I honestly, I don't feel bad for them. Don't feel sad. Actually, I feel like getting on the plane and escorting them over myself just to make sure they reach their destination. As for Man United, 10 games, that guy in charge, that's all he's going to be in there for. He might last a little bit longer than Philip Cuckoo. But I was speaking to Jack the other day, this guy's not going to last. He just does not have the tactics for this Premier League. And I'll be honest, United, when I was growing up, won absolutely everything and broke my heart. So again, I'm absolutely buzzing that they're getting slapped up every week. So I absolutely love that. That's on G. I mean, Philip, we'll start with you, my man. Look, we've only won one game at Stamford Bridge since 1990. One game. That's just absolutely an incredible record. Philip, why do you think we struggle when we go to Stamford Bridge?
I don't know. It's you get grounds like this that have kind of an Indian sign over a club, where the mentality or the psychology isn't right. The team goes into the ground expecting to lose because the previous 10 teams have lost there. But I think we've got a guy, Conte. He knows the Chelsea setup inside out. He'll know little things about Chelsea that he can pass on to the team. And I think he's the right guy to break that hoodoo. And we break that hoodoo today. It's a massive statement. And it really will show, like a lot of the pundits, or the so-called pundits, are hoping to God that we get beaten again by Chelsea today. I'll not mention them, but know who they are. And I think we make a statement today by going there and winning convincingly, like we did in 2018, that one win that we have got, when we absolutely buried them. Do that today, and we put down a marker that even the likes of Jamie Carragher is going to have to not to ignore. So, big game.
Yeah, and you know what? That one win actually came against Antonio Conte as well. Funny enough, he was in charge of Chelsea when we bet them there. But look, I have no fear walking into today's game whatsoever. I mean, you've got Tom Bowley, who thinks he's fucking Bob Geldof, walking around with the shades on. We're going to turn Thiago Silva into Sterling Silva. I actually absolutely cannot wait. I cannot wait, Dark Sunday. Beat yourself up, brother. We've got a super sticker. Wow, big up, Dermot, my man. Really appreciate that, brother. From Tottenham Hotspur till I die. What is the super sticker, Jack? What have you got
let me
today?
bend it the right way. It's probably just not focusing well, but it's just saying you are awesome, Dave, and it's just blowing fireworks in every which direction. It's probably maybe even aimed at the Chelsea fans. Maybe those fireworks they're shooting off, and then he's just showing a lot of appreciation. It's a massive donation as well, Dermot. Absolute brother. Really appreciate you, my man. Really, really kind.
I mean, Dermot, we'll be setting off fireworks because we win. Chelsea fans have a tough decision today. They either have to pick the game or the Chelsea flower show. Now, they'll probably set off fireworks from coming home with a nice bouquet of roses, my man. So, I absolutely cannot wait. Big up, Dermot, brother. Really, really appreciate the support, my man. Dark So G says Gooners won because Leicester doesn't have Schmeichel. I agree, man. Your man Ward was absolutely catastrophic in that goal yesterday. They had a better goalkeeper in Arsenal, wouldn't have won that. He was absolutely useless. Could not agree more, my man.
Very glad I put him on my fantasy bench and not on my starting 11.
Oh, stop. Stop. You may get that changed, Jamesy. You may get that changed. Yeah. Dark So G also says, I found out that the game Fox's goalkeeper left, so my draw prediction was really off. It's a shame. However, what I find amusing is Man United's next game is Liverpool, lad. I mean, Jack, anything you want to say to Dark Sun G here?
There's so many I've wanted to say to Dark Sun G, especially after the Man United, kind of defeat. I must say, as much as everybody's laughing at Man United, I tried to rationalize away in my league table for Man United to finish ahead of Arsenal. It's not really looking, too good there. But, I tried to give it a try. But, Ten Hag's not doing me any justice here, Dark Sun G. I didn't think he would crumble this quickly. And maybe it actually was written, all along, when you look at it. Because, they have, a guy, in the case of Maguire, Dave, he has the turning radius of, a fridge or a turning radius of like a cargo ship in the ocean. And then as well, he also has, the garden gnome, Lissandro Martinez right next to him. It's just it's kind of a recipe, for disaster, I think, in the first place. And for some reason, a lot of Spurs fans, they were really hyping up Ten Hag. And I kind of, wanted to believe it as well, because there was, a lot of beautiful football he was playing over in Ajax, as well as in the Champions League. Don't get us wrong. It was in the Champions League too. But I feel like maybe I fell for that spell of Ten Hag, maybe Dark Sun G. And I wanted to believe that, he'd be able to assemble that, Man United squad and be able to make them at least better than Lego Man squad. But I guess he can't even do that.
Nah, look, Jack, they
I
brought
think he
in the
actually
man
takes a huge
Martinez.
share of the blame. I'm sorry. I know that Man United fans are upset with the owners and whatnot. I feel like he takes a huge share of the blame because I'm pretty sure most managers would not be 4-0 down 30 minutes in, with that sort of squad available to him. I don't care if the players don't try. You can at least do 2 backs of 4, 4-4-2, and you'd probably be there 1-0, 2-0 down, maybe
Jack,
by halftime.
you're never going to have much success putting Eriksen as a number 6 as
Exactly.
your
I
deepest
feel like
lying
a lot of people are
midfielder.
saying it's the owners. I feel like pretty self-inflicted, by Ten Hag. I think, the performances so far, pretty self-inflicted.
Look,
Didn't help that Eriksen forgot which team he was playing for as well, to be fair. I mean, I think he still thought he was in red and white, so there you go.
it was brilliant that the Brentford fans were chanting at me. You only went there for the money. But they brought in that guy Martinez. 5'9". I mean, he's better off auditioning for the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as an Oompa Loompa rather than play for Man United. It's absolutely catastrophic. But again, I'm absolutely buzzing for the state they are in. Big up, Dark Song G. I am so far behind the chat, so I'm going to take.
And also, just Dave, I know you're working overtime here, and I only know you just returned, but Ben Kaufman just after Dark Sun G super chat, Justine goes, "We want to keep the order right, celebrating 13 months, Dave, and pretty sure you know what it is. Pretty sure you know what it is. What he wants you to say.
Can you smell what the cow is brewing?" Absolutely love that, Benji. 13 months, my man, and hopefully we'll see you on the fan show Monday celebrating another victory over Chelsea, brother. Big yourself up. Get that Irish Hotspur brew on, my man. Absolute legend. And then we'll take this from Dark Song G, and then I'll get back down to the bottom of the chat. Dark Song G says, Blues last season when they beat us, we didn't have a firing Kane, a fit Son, a midfield with Bentancur, and a forward line with Kulu. These factors are massive. Yeah, look, no Kulu, no Bentancur. So, I mean, that's just going to add quality to us straight away. It just means we'll be able to get a handle on the ball, which we weren't able to do in the 3 games against them in January. Kane, look, August isn't his most favourite month whatsoever, but I think he's been looking at Haaland, realised that there's an opportunity this weekend because Haaland didn't score. I think Kane will absolutely take it. You've got Koulibaly who went down with cramp versus Everton. I mean, honestly, Everton players just do not run in behind. So the fact that this guy got cramp, I mean, just put Sonny on him all game, just running behind and running ragged, and you'll see him fall down with cramp again. I absolutely cannot wait. But Jamesy, anything you want to say, Dark Song G here?
Yeah, spot on. The main difference is you kind of covered it already, Dave, is Kulusevski and Bentancur. But one thing to maybe add is obviously the strength in depth. We know we're not fully there, but we're miles ahead than we were this time, even last season. At the same point, you've got Richarlison that's going to be eager to come off the bench. If Basuma doesn't start, he can change the game, provide a box-to-box kind of versatility in terms of the game. I mean, we've got such strength on the bench, even in midfield. Like, we're not used to that. I remember literally 6 months ago talking on this channel about having to play Harry Stinks in midfield. I mean, now we're talking about 3 or 4 decent midfielders that can play. Obviously, Skippy's injured, but that is quality. And of course, the main. I know we're going to do a lot of player battles and what's going to be the key areas, but if we can get on top of Conte and stop him doing his business in midfield, especially from the difference from last season, Højbjerg and Skip probably would have got outdone by Conte, or they did get outdone by Conte and Jorginho last year. But this year, I think it could be a completely different kettle of fish, and I'm absolutely buzzing to see us dominate that midfield today. And I can't wait to get clipped when we don't.
Oh, honestly, bringing back memories of Winks in midfield. I mean, I can't believe we used to have these discussions. So painful. That is painful. Thank God we don't have problems anymore.
That just proves how far we've come, though, doesn't it, Dave? I mean, the fact we'd genuinely get upset having to talk about it, and now we have the luxury of having either Basuma and Bentancur, Højbjerg and Bentancur, the different variations. It's just class. And, big up the Don, as you like to say, Dave. Big up Paratici for that.
No, look, no one can complain. Everyone, said to me, oh, is he really the Don? Well, you better call him the Don now. Look at the job he's after doing on this squad. You take it back from when he first arrived to where we are now, there's no excuse for calling this guy the Don. He along with Conte, has completely transformed not only the direction of this football club, but a lot of the starting 11 and a lot of the squad as well. So he is the Don. And by the way,
he's about to make Napoli potentially pay 13 million for Tanguy and Ndombele. Don't tell me he's not a Don. The guy is cooking the books over in Italy. He's cooking the books for us here. You know, he's getting all the best transfers. 26 million for Basuma. I mean, the man, Dave, he's just an absolute maniac. You can't say he's not a Don. Again, you know, people were, you know, saying at some stage we were going to have to pay clubs to take in Ndombele, you know, off our books. And, you know, he's somehow being able to negotiate it over with Napoli, one of the most historic clubs. So I don't know, Dave, let the Don work. And I think Dark Sun G knows that too.
No,
It's still a huge loss.
Huh?
It's still a massive. It's still the biggest loss in our transfer history. What we paid for him and what we're going to get for him. You know, okay, he's getting over. I thought we'd be looking at 5 million for him, but the fact that we're getting 16 million is an improvement. But it's still 40 million down, basically. You know, so it's no reason to celebrate. The only celebration is that he's actually going and getting out of the club.
Yeah, that's why I'm celebrating, you know, because if Steve Hitchen was still here, this guy'd still be allowed to walk around the training ground, you know, whereas Don Paratici will not put up with that. And look, it started out as a debate, but it's not even a debate anymore. He is the Don. I just want to say to people out there before we do get into it as well, I mean, I do actually endorse Richarlison coming off the bench, Slick Rick, scoring a goal and throwing a flare back into the stands yet again to get suspended. I do endorse that sort of shithousery today. I can't lie. I absolutely hope he does it.
I mean, what a player! Sorry, Dave, just quickly. What a player to bring off the bench, Richarlison. Okay, yes, I'm not on quite the hype train as other people that Richarlison is going to hit the ground running and everything. But what a player to bring on in a London derby. He literally wears his heart on his sleeve. He'll probably get a yellow card, but to be honest, I do not care. If he puts in a hard tackle on one of those players and gets the players up for it, that's exactly what you want. Of course, Romero is going to be exactly the same today. But just very quickly as well, if you look at the lineup we had when we lost 3-0 at home, I don't want to bring up, you know, bad times, but 3-0 at home, I was there in September 2021. We were playing Ndombele in the starting 11, Dele Alli, Lo Celso. That just proves how far we've come in less than a year. So that's one positive to take as well.
Yeah.
No,
one
100%.
thing I'll say about Richarlison, Alan Smith, see the comment Alan Smith made yesterday about Richarlison?
No.
He reckons he's going to be the failure of the season.
Oh,
now, coming from a man that puts half the country to sleep with his comments on, you know, and the fact that he's ex-Arsenal, I mean, how can you even take any credence from that comment? But they're all at it again now. You know, Carragher's at it again, Redknapp, and now Smith. This weekend, it's let's have a go at Tottenham again.
That's
you know,
Gary Neville after the game yesterday. Gary Neville after the United game yesterday couldn't help but bring Tottenham's name into it. You know,
I saw that.
He couldn't help. Threw his toys out with the pram yesterday. He got exposed, so he did. He got exposed. But I'm absolutely loving life, and it's a good job that we didn't actually get Ten Hag, because a lot of Spurs fans were twerking for this guy to come to the club. You know, another shrewd move by Tottenham to kind of walk away. But Jack, I believe we've got another.
Yeah, it's just KPV, Dave. You know, he's celebrating 5 months and he's saying, come on, you Spurs. Let's smash Chelsea. 3-1 to the Spurs. Kulusevski hat trick. He's gone for a Kulusevski hat trick, which you could say, you know, with how, you know, easy he made it look against Southampton. You know, maybe he might bully, you know, maybe Cucurella, because he could be coming up against him. You know, he's probably going to come back with a bit of vengeance, I think, this time, you know, Kulusevski, you know, KPV. So it's on the cards. You know, maybe he might carry us again, you know, in this game.
Nah, look, KP or fucking Kulusevski is well able to carry this team, you know. Look, Chelsea, last time they only had sort of like Kane and Son to do it. It's going to be a different story having a full front three to do it. You can't afford to give Kulusevski space whatsoever. Adrian Chase says, big up, lads. Tonight is the big chance to see our progress. Could not agree more, my man. I could not agree more. Look, I think we've done a lot of work sort of off the pitch and stuff like that. Now's the time to change the mentality on the pitch and really prove to the Spurs fans that there is a lot of change going on here at the minute. Absolutely love that, Adrian. Big yourself up, my man. And then we've got Moondog. I have no doubt we will win, and my dire bet is on. Yeah, look, I was actually thinking about this last night, Moondog. I've nicknamed him Bullet Boots, and I think, you know, I do think he might score today. I really, really do. As soon as this is finished, I'll be running down and putting on a fiver myself. Big up, Moondog. Really appreciate the support, my man. I'm just, look, I bet you were raging last week it wasn't on. You would have absolutely
We didn't do it.
My man. No, he didn't do it last week. He took a break from Eric Dyer last week.
Oh,
You know how many times he
no.
burned him, James? I mean, he burned him probably, I think, 40 games. You know?
Yeah, but it's
You
like
know,
it's like when you enter the lottery. If you stop 1 week, you just know your numbers are going to come in. It's like that. I saw so many Eric Dyer bets last week that people put like 30 quid on him to score a header and won like $3,000. It was ridiculous.
Oh, no. You're
I'm
going
on
to
it
get
today.
Moondog shaking in his chair. He's going to be
Oh, I thought it
he's going
was
to break his
Moondog.
phone.
No, not Moondog. Not
Yeah.
Moondog. He missed out. He was out having like some Eggs Benedict or something like that. He completely missed out.
He's been
Big
caught with
up
egg on his
Moondog.
face as well, yeah.
Yeah, big up Moondog, my man. Jack, who do you think are favourites going into this game, Chelsea or Tottenham?
I feel like before, Dave, you know, there's always, I wanted to mention this before. Maybe this is the good time to mention it. I feel like, you know, this game, the reason we always say it's kind of been wrapped up in kind of voodoo or kind of things that have not gone our way, because it feels like it's always either Spurs don't have, you know, all the right players. You know, we have a ton of injuries going into it. It seems like, you know, at some stage there's some sort of thing going on in the background, either with the player, you know, that's distracting, you know, from the squad. It seems like oftentimes the football gods just aren't helping us. You know, they'll give us the referee that, you know, always, you know, makes Spurs lose, or they might, you know, just give us the decisions that just simply just don't make sense, you know, in any way. Like we even saw in that one game, like decisions, Dave, that you've only seen like once or twice in like your whole life just happens to, you know, be made, you know, in the Chelsea and Spurs game. It just feels like everything sort of is stacked against us in this. You know, it's never really a fair test. It's never really been, you know, a fair battle. Even when Chelsea, I would say, have been the better, you know, team on the day, there have been lots of occasions when I feel like they really simply weren't. And actually, they just kind of got away, you know, with the 1-0, 2-0, you know, based off of a ton of things basically just going their way. And so I feel like this is the one time where maybe, just maybe, I feel like everything is sort of stacked and maybe a fair, you know, sort of way, you know, kind of the table, you know, is, you know, flat, you know, everything is, you know, set up for us to have, you know, kind of a fair contest here, Dave. And I feel like, you know, Spurs, this is the one time, you know, the one chance that we can feel like, you know, that it, maybe we can actually take it because, you know, what is it? You know, the table isn't stacked against us, you could say, or the odds aren't stacked against us.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more with that, Jacko. Look, I think the bookies actually have Chelsea down as favourites, but you know, they've got no strikers whatsoever. You know, Conte, I know he'd probably be in the midfield today, but the guy didn't even travel out for their preseason, you know. So how fit is he? That's the big question. And for me,
the teams we fielded in the past, it, you know, speaks of the injuries. It speaks of, you know, kind of the toxic, you know, turnover of the squads. Look at also, you know, the time period of like, you know, when it felt like even Chelsea, they didn't even have a good game themselves. You know, you just see like moon boots, you know, switch off, you know, for like pulling down Timo Werner, you know, and like things like that. You know, it's just like everything that, you know, just seems to just go wrong against Chelsea. And that's what I would, you know, argue is that I'm just looking forward maybe for it just seems like with Conte, maybe, you know, things will actually be fair. You know, the football gods might actually, you know, for once, maybe, you know, give us a bit of a fairer shake. And that's what I'm looking forward to, Dave. You know, I'm thinking the voodoo and the hoodoo isn't going to be happening today.
They're shining on us today, my man. The football gods are shining on us. I gave a little prayer yesterday. He promised me a win today, my man. I forgot to tell everybody absolutely everything they need to know. So, of course, we are away at Stamford Bridge. Kickoff is at 4:30 p.m. today. Referee, make sure you get this one down in the notepads. It is Anthony Taylor. All we're asking for is some good decisions like we got last weekend. Although we should have had a penalty that felt sorry for Southampton. So if that happens today, it better be a penalty. And in the VAR room, you've got Mike Dean, the chicken slaughter machine. So, and that's true, actually. You know, he did work slaughtering chickens before he became a referee. Now he's in the VAR room. And guys, if you want to watch the match today, you can get it on the USA Network in USA, Sky Sports main event in the UK and Ireland, and Fubo TV in Canada. And guys, the watch along starts here at 4 p.m. Injury news: Richarlison, of course, returns from suspension. Clement Lenglet is out with tightness in his adductor muscle, and Ollie Skip is out with his foot injury for Chelsea. Mateo Kovacic is out with a knee injury, and Marcus Alonso, well, I hope this guy is out because he always scores against Tottenham, always undoes us, and hopefully he will be missing today, trying to finalise his transfer to Barcelona. So hopefully, Philip, For me, I think our awful record versus Chelsea comes down to the quality of the starting 11 over the years. And Conte alluded to it last year, saying after the first defeat in January, if you compare it to our team, there is no comparison. We've seen the difference between the two teams. I know the situation. It's very clear. There is an important gap. Is our starting 11 now just as good, if not better than Chelsea this time around?
As it stands at the moment, like since those games at the start of the year there, which is probably, let's face it, the most depressing sequence of results we had all season, really. It's bad enough to lose, but to lose to that mob 3 times was just, very hard to take. And I think that's been the yardstick for Conte now to get the team up to the same level or beyond what Chelsea actually have. And I think, yes, we're nearly there. Okay, let's face it, none of the new signings started last week. How many of them are going to start today? But apart from improving the squad over the last 6 months, he's improved the mentality of the players. He's improved their attitudes. He's improved the way they approach games. And he will have drilled into them today. We do not want to go to there and become another statistic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, on paper, Chelsea are favourites because of past history and, the fact that they're playing at home. But a match was never won on paper. It's won on the pitch. And that's what's going to be won today because Spurs are going into this game with enough bad, not what I'm looking for, not bad feeling, but enough anger from previous results to get out there and turn these guys over. Like, we're going to have to put up with an awful lot of abuse. Like the Chelsea fan base, okay, the ones that started supporting them since 2003 are a scum, to be honest with you.
No.
The ones that prior to Abramovich, some of the fans were okay. It's the new generation of fans that'll turn up today making gas chamber noises, singing Spurs are on the way to Auschwitz, stuff like that. They think it's funny. They think it's hilarious. It's not. It's offensive. Just like that club is offensive. So today we make a statement. We go out on the pitch. We beat the shit out of them. And then we are the number 1 team in London. And hopefully that's the way it's going to stay.
Absolutely. I can't wait to slap the shit out of them today. I really can't. Daxon G says Basuma plus Bentancur is better than Tanguy Lo Celso or for the same price of Tango or cheaper than Tanguy Lo Celso and Sissoko.
Wow. And Sissoko. He threw in Sissoko in there as well. That's just
individually, Basuma cheaper than Sissoko, cheaper than Lo Celso, cheaper than Tanguy, and Bentancur half the price of each of them, if not, a third of the price of Tanguy and Ndombele. The business is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, look, when Tanguy was brought in, there was a lot of big clubs chasing him, and he had a big name. But you got to ask yourself, how do we end up ahead of the queue? Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Man City, and all these other teams going for him because they've done the homework. They knew exactly what he was going to do when they rocked up at the club. But yet we got suckered into it. The shit saw, thank fuck he's gone. And I mean, Sissoko, that guy couldn't even get control of a ball. All you could do with him is just wind him up and just tell him to run about and run through people. Absolutely disgusting. And thank God we've moved on from them times. Now we have a midfield that can actually compete, not only in terms of physically and winning tackles, but also off the ball in terms of technical ability as well. Big up, Dark Sunji. Absolutely love that. And that's another reason exactly why Paratici is the Don, my man. He is the Don.
Patty Higgins celebrating 4 months as a Flat Cap member after Dark Sun G super chat. And he's saying just 3 months. Time flies when you're having fun. Big up, Patty. He's been around forever, though, Patty. So I would say, the 4 months is a disservice to you, brother.
No, big up, Paddy. Absolute legend. He makes all them little movie posters with our players in it and out.
Legend.
Had a good time with Paddy. Paddy's a legend. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Paul Markey says, guys. Big up, Paul Markey. Absolutely love that. Big up, brother. Legend. Good to see you in the building. Hopefully you are absolutely pumped, Paul. Big up, brother. Really appreciate the support. James, have we closed the gap on Chelsea on and off the pitch, do you feel? Considering that, Bob Geldof walked in there and sacked the whole of Chelsea's transfer committee, the whole hierarchy.
Yeah, well, we've 100% closed the gap. Just from my example earlier, you mentioned the starting 11 in your last question. Just to put it in perspective, our last head-to-head against Chelsea, we started Harry Winks in midfield. I mean, that's everything you need to know. We were playing Bergwijn up front because he was on the hype after the Leicester result. We also played Davinson Sanchez in that game and Tanganga. So, I mean, that in terms of closing the gap, if you look at our starting 11 today, which I'm sure will be very similar to what we played against Southampton, that just says all you need to know in terms of on the pitch, off the pitch as well. You know, before we would be keeping hold of this Deadwood, Lo Celso and Ndombele for 1, 2, 3 too many years. Now, finally, Paratici's come in. He's been here not even a year, and we finally, you know, got rid of these players. We got rid of Dele Alli in January.
Mhm.
You know, we got rid of the other ones in January. We now got rid of Lo Celso and Ndombele, it looks like. You know, absolutely quality news. It's just Harry Winks to be offloaded. Then we need 1 or 2 more signings. I mean, that just says everything you need to know. We've gone from Steve Hitchin to Paratici. It's just night and day. It's an absolute crazy revolution at Spurs. I'm absolutely buzzing for it, and I'm sure today we really will see that gap has closed, because yes, a lot of it is mentality going to Stamford Bridge. I mean, 1 win in 25 years? Certainly 1 win in my lifetime. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But today, you said that Chelsea are favourites, but I think the bookies are overlooking the fact that the gap has really closed. And I genuinely believe that. I'm normally not a fan that will say, oh, yeah, you know, I really fancy us today just for the sake of it. I really honestly do. I think Chelsea, it's a great time to play them. They're all over the place in terms of their hierarchy, still all over the place. Yes, they've been taken over, but I'd say they were in better shape under Abramovich, that's for sure. And Thomas Tuchel hasn't got the squad he needs right now. I mean, they haven't got a recognised striker. They'll play Raheem Sterling as a false 9. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But that. Sterling is a good player. Let's not get around that. But, you know, the gap has closed, to answer your question, 100%.
It's all right. Romero's going to fold Raheem Sterling more than a newspaper. I absolutely cannot wait. Look, when it comes to Tottenham, look, our stadium is much better than theirs. Our training complex is much better than theirs. We've definitely got better owners now than what they do. We've got a better guy in terms of Paratici, which they don't have. Your man Tom Bowley thinks he's playing Football Manager, thinks he can do it all himself. And you look at the terms, and I think the biggest one for me is the quality of the squads now. I think we have a better quality squad than what Chelsea do, all the way through. And I think this will be the big difference today. I think we win today, and I think you'll definitely see us. I definitely think then it'll be proof of the pudding that we have closed the gap on all areas against Chelsea. And look, we have to do that. We have to do that because we have to be the best team in London, which I believe we are. And then that'll breed on to us going for Premier League titles. So for me, look, I'm absolutely delighted that this guy has come in so naive, thinking he can just throw money and get what he wants. At the end of the day, he's got to beg Barcelona for the leftovers. You know, what he does now is he rings Barcelona and he's like, okay, who do you not want? That's who we'll go for, because everyone we seem to go for, you take off us. But just tell us who you don't want. You know, absolutely love it. Absolutely
One small point to add, Dave. You're absolutely spot on. Like, you that gap has closed like ridiculous amount. But like, look at the game last year. Sorry to bring it up again when we lost 3-0 at home. Who were we looking at? Who? I'm trying to be positive compared to today. I mean, who were we looking at bringing on in that game? The first option off the bench was Brian Hill. I mean, that says everything you need to know as well. I mean, it's just crazy. Now we don't know who's coming on first out of all the players that we do have. That's squad depth. Like you said, it's as good as Chelsea's, if not better. So, absolutely fantastic times.
Yeah, Chelsea, beware, we are coming. Faz says, wish me luck. I have a big bet to smash Chelsea. Come on, you Spurs. You don't need luck, Faz. It's happening, my man. You got to see it, you got to believe it, and then you've got to embrace it when it happens. Don't need luck, brother. It is happening. Absolutely.
No better time, Faz, to put that bet on. No better time to put that big bet on. You know, just sit back and on the couch, you know, maybe watch, you know, Forest smack West Ham, you know, and then, you know, just get ready for that bet, you know, to come through, celebrate with a few beers, maybe take the misses out. Who knows, Faz? You know, it's coming true, Faz. Get ready.
But look, we'll give you the look of the Irish, Fazzy, man. We'll give you the look of the Irish. Big yourself up, brother. Where am I? Jack, Tottenham have had some terrible results at Chelsea, like we alluded to. And the fixture has not always been kind to Tottenham. But does it feel different going into this game this time around?
It does feel different, mostly because, you know, like, you know, James has mentioned, you know, the available players. You also look at, you know, maybe a lot of times when we maybe come up against Chelsea, it feels like, you know, they had a lot of momentum going their way, or, you know, maybe they had to, you know, prove something. It just felt like the momentum was always kind of the opposite, where Spurs were kind of in a position where, like, geez, like we're lucky if we can get a result here. And then Chelsea are kind of, licking their lips. It felt like lots of times, going into these sort of games, like thinking that they could maybe put a lot past us. And it feels like sort of for once, Spurs are maybe, feeling like the team that actually, can take advantage, of Chelsea. I don't, really remember a time or recall a time where it felt like Spurs were, maybe finding Chelsea in a vulnerable sort of position, where it felt like, our squad was better, our momentum was better, our morale, around the team was a bit better. Just feels, I don't know, like I can't really recall a time even in my whole memory, even as a Spurs fan, even under the Poch days, they just felt like Chelsea was that sort of, hoodoo and voodoo that we've talked about, kind of before. And it just feels like we have a much better squad in certain areas of the pitch. We probably have actually better bench options, maybe in to some degree, coming onto the pitch. We certainly have a manager that, has had probably a bit, better squad morale, this preseason, has, a bit more confidence, because as much as Thomas Tuchel I do rate, and, as much as, he is a Spurs fan, Dave, it's just nice to see, a guy on enemy lines, being a Spurs fan.
You better let us win today. You better let us win.
He's been ruthless towards us, which is kind of the problem. He's been quite ruthless. But I would say is that it just feels like Conte, and Tuchel's kind of camp, it's complete opposite vibes, as well right now. Where I think Conte is going into this, Dave, kind of, chest out, a lot of confidence, thinking that he can maybe, grab something here. And Tuchel just last game, over at, Goodison Park, Dave, was doing the sleeping, kind of, gestures at his players, and was kind of being a bit Karen Kloppish, you could say, on the sidelines. So I don't know, just two entirely different vibes with the squad, potentially two maybe even squads on paper, or even I would say a better squad in our case. And then maybe for once we might actually have the refs and, the football gods on our side.
Nah, look, we do. We do. Look, this is a team that got slapped up 4-0 by Arsenal pre-season, and Thomas Tuchel came out and absolutely ridiculed these players. Look, he's unhappy. I'm not sure he's convinced that he even wants to be there anymore, and neither do half the squad. So we're going in there, and there's a fracture in that squad, and what we need to do is grab the nail, the hammer, and keep driving it down, pounding it, until it breaks into multiple little pieces, and you see them all screaming at each other just while we're dipping in and out scoring goals. I cannot wait for today's game. Gaguma with the super sticker. Big up, Gaguma, my love. Really appreciate support, and it's good to see you.
She's dancing, waiting for the game, Dave. She's just dancing, waiting for the game, throwing hearts into the air. She's just, praying that, the players can actually, do her the service and, put in a good fight. Because it also just feels like, as well, Gaguma, in the past, feels like Spurs players even, weren't even, showing up for it. I remember even that game, Dave, like I mentioned with Eric Dyer, pulling down Werner. I remember there was like that one passage of play where we were, noticing how many passes, like Chelsea were getting off without even being challenged, it felt like. And, it feels like, the players will also be up for this one too, Gaguma.
That won't happen today. I cannot wait. Gaguma's dancing. She's anticipating the victory, Jack. She's already dancing for the victory. Absolutely love that. Look, we're going to smash Chelsea today. I cannot wait to crunch them up like a crisp packet. It's going to be glorious. It really is going to be absolutely glorious. Philip, Tottenham have struggled in London derbies last season. We only took 1 point in our 5 away London derbies last season, scoring just 1 goal as well. Why do we struggle in away London derbies, do you think?
Well, because I think the other teams, okay, Chelsea and Arsenal are the two big ones. West Ham regard their game with us as their biggest game of the season. We just regard it as another match. So they up their game. They up their game. I mean, Brentford. I'd say Brentford is an example. Last season, that was a Christian Eriksen factor playing against his old club and everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to put a finger on that why we didn't perform or didn't perform in London derbies. But I don't see that happening this season. And one of the reasons I don't see it happening is we could look at our bench last season a lot of the time, and you see a lot of youth players on it. And no offense to the likes of Dane Scarlett and Andy Devine and the two Craig brothers, but they're not Basuma or Richarlison or the likes that we have this season. Yeah, our games are going to be, a lot of our games this season are going to be won by the substitutions that Conte makes, because we have now got what's pretty much a frightening bench. If you look at last week, all the new starters all the new signings were on the bench. If you're the opposition manager looking at that, says, Christ Almighty, look what's going to happen to us in the second half when these boys get going. And I think that's going to be a huge factor. And hopefully we'll get again. Maybe it's a mentality thing. Maybe we don't go into London derbies with as much aggression and hope of winning as the other teams do. But I think Conte is the guy that's going to change that mindset. And starting today, this is the day we start to make the statement that we're London derbies for Spurs. We're going to win them this season. We're not going to be second best.
Look. For me, I think it comes down to the mentality of the squad over the last while as well, where it's just been weak. If we're being honest, they failed to get up for these games. They failed to sort of compete in these sort of games. And it's because of the pressure that's put on it. You put a London derby on it, Tottenham, especially last season, you knew they were going to crumble. But I do believe the mentality this time round is a hell of a lot different. I believe the squad is hungry. I believe there's desire, passion. And for me, I think that's what makes it different. And I think that's why we're going to get off to a very good start. And we're going to win our first London derby, which is away as well. I absolutely cannot wait. James, how do we change our fortune in away London derbies? Is it the hunger, the intensity, the desire to win? What do we do?
I was just thinking about what you just said at the end there about, it's almost like developing what you were saying. It's almost like having winners in the team. Although we don't have too many actual players that have won trophies, it's the difference. I've already said it a couple of times, but having someone that you can rely on in every single position is another big thing. And, having that back line, although we're still not convinced about our wing back, Sessegnon seems to be turning up, touch wood, in the bigger games. You go to right wing back Emerson. Okay, there's question marks over him if he does start, but he did play unbelievably against Southampton. And then the three centre backs, it's much more solid than what it was. So in terms of changing the fortune, you have to go in there believing you're going to win. Obviously, that's stating the obvious, but there is always going to be that voodoo. But a lot of the team has changed since January. So I mean, there's not going to be too many of those players, like I said, the likes of Winks, the likes of Doherty, who started that other game, the likes of Tanganga, who have that over them when they're starting, going down the tunnel at Stamford Bridge and going, we got beaten 3 times in 3 weeks against Chelsea. A lot of them, Romero, he was injured, wasn't he? He was injured at that time. And then you've got
played in too many.
Exactly. And then you've got even if Basuma plays a part, he's not gonna have that over him, because I mean he went with Brighton and they got a result there. You've got the likes of Richarlison.
I just think any player that hasn't played under Jose, that means they've been, in the squad for some time, and they probably have been witness, to a few, Chelsea, performances. And I feel like any of the players that came in either last season, like even Højbjerg, has probably been a part of, maybe enough, Chelsea performances that he's, probably even been a bit rattled, at times. So it is actually, I agree with you, James. It's probably players like, the likes of Romero, maybe the likes of, potentially Perisic, even, Sessegnon, you could say. Sessegnon actually hasn't played in too many of these Chelsea games. He could go into it maybe with a bit more, naivete in kind of a good way. I think that's what we're kind of, the word we're looking for is like naivete and kind of a good sort of, in a good sort of way. Like they're not, haunted by past performances, like James said.
It comes down to having players like Romero, who he couldn't give a shit who the opposition is. Put him out there. He's going to put in the same performance week in, week out. Bentancur, Kulu, Sexy, couldn't care who the opposition is. Put them out there. You're going to get the same goods off them. It doesn't matter whether you're home or away. It doesn't matter whether it's a London derby or whether it's a regular win against Man City. It does not matter.
As a fan,
Perisic in there as well. It comes down to bringing in the players that it does not matter what sort of situation they walk in, hostile or not. They will use that hostility and they'll deliver. That's what it comes down to. And I think, because before we've gone in there scared, Harry Winks in your midfield.
That's what I was going to say.
Midfield is where you win the games. It's absolutely important you win that midfield battle. You win that midfield battle, 9 times out of 10, you go on to win the game. When you're going into games with Harry Winks in your midfield and Ndombele and Dele Alli either side of him who do not want to be there, what chance have you got? You don't have any. Your midfield is already scared. You're never going to be able to get a grip of the game in terms of winning possession or turning it over, but also on the ball. And that reflected in our 3 games last season, I feel.
100%. I was literally about to say before I nearly interrupted you, Dave. As a fan, when you see the lineup and you see last season, the game at Stamford Bridge, after we'd already lost twice in 2 weeks, you see Tanganga, Sanchez, Winks, Doherty, Højbjerg, Bergwijn. you're just thinking, fuck me, we've lost this game. And I'll be honest, I was thinking the exact same. I knew it was going to be same stuff again, 3 losses in a row. But now we've got 5 or 6 different starting 11 players there that really want to make an impact, really want to get on board with the Conte project and know this is the season where, it's going to get real. And like you said, Kulusevski, Bentancur, Romero, they haven't got this Chelsea hoodoo over them. So let's have it today. Let's have it.
Another thing too, last season we were playing along there, and okay, let's say we'll take Matt Doherty for example, right? Oh no, he's not a good example. No, we'll take Højbjerg, right? He's not having a good game, right? And he's looking at the bench, and he's a 17-year-old waiting to replace him on the bench. There's no incentive there. But now he looks at the bench and he sees Basuma waiting to replace him. That is incentive. So the players now have got an incentive to perform, or else they'll be sitting on the bench next match.
Absolutely. Kulusevski not playing well. Let's look to the bench. Brian Hill. Oh no, now it's Richarlison. Now we've got a bit of meat on the bench.
Yeah, exactly. The uptake, the upside in quality that we now have on the bench is going to encourage the starting 11 to up their game by 20% during the match to stay on that pitch.
Yeah.
Great point.
And anyone that does want to hide or doesn't want to be there, they'd be hauled straight off. I absolutely love that. And we have the ability to do it now. Like you said, Philip, absolutely spot on. Moondog says our fitness will be a big factor today. Well, Moondog, my man, for me, I think we've just got to hold on the first half. Do not concede. I think second half we'll go out there and absolutely wallop them. They've got a retirement village right across the back. Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Koulibaly. Honestly,
Koulibaly's the youngest one, I think, of 31 years old.
I was going to say you could put Philip in beside them, and he wouldn't look out of place. But Philip wouldn't want to be in a Chelsea jersey, so I wouldn't do that.
No. Oh, the next thing those guys have got to look forward to is their bus pass. So let's.
Meals on wheels, Philip. Meals on wheels. Moondog fitness is going to be absolutely crucial today, just like it was against Southampton last week. Hold out first half, second half is ours. I'm convinced about that, my man. Luke Alloway, big up, my man. Absolutely love the name. He says, big up, Dave, and the boys can't wait to smoke Chelsea. Oh, my man, I cannot wait either. I have a big fat silver Rizla waiting for them. Just put them in there. It's going to be rolled up. Honestly, we're going to roll Chelsea up quicker than what a spliff is rolled up at a Tree Huggers convention. I cannot wait, my man. Luke, it's happening, brother. Be ready. Absolutely love that. And Gaguma with the super sticker, Jacko.
Oh, it's just a second, Dave. Yep, it's actually different this time, Dave. I think it's actually her probably just in front of the TV screen, because, she's just oohing and ahhing, waiting for the game to start. So it's actually one of those moments, where it's like maybe when you were a bit young, just waiting for the cartoons to come on nice and early. She's just waiting for the screen, to come on and show the beautiful players and the beautiful kit ready to take over West London, Dave.
I'll tell you what she's waiting for. Gimme a ginger from Sweden, number 21, and he plays on the wing. Come on, Gaguma. Absolutely love it. Big yourself up, my dear. Big yourself up. Jacko, Antonio Conte has done a great job. He's instilled that will to win, the drive, the desire, and the players are running through brick walls for him. Are we witnessing something special here, or have we seen this before on the previous managers?
Were players really running through, brick walls for, Jose Mourinho? I would say like a certain portion of them were, but it didn't really feel like, as a collective unit. And what also maybe was the problem, with Jose's squad just kind of quickly was, he didn't really have the ability to really get rid of players and the kind of same ruthlessness that, Conte was able, whichever players Conte feels like are a distraction from his mission or a distraction kind of from his squad unity, he's just been able to cut out, kind of like fat from the squad, Dave, and I feel like maybe Jose wasn't really allowed that sort of, freedom or sort of that sort of capacity. And, that's maybe a big difference is, Conte, he wants, a squad that everybody is behind him and everybody is behind the mission. He doesn't want any, kind of people that, kind of have one foot out the door, or, players that, maybe have half bought in. And he kind of probably smells that out. I bet he kind of can tell, players that are maybe kind of faking it, just to, kind of be a part of the squad, maybe just to be a part of the journey. I bet, he's able to tell which players are, his ones to keep for the season. We've even called them, Conte soldiers anyway, Dave. So he's building more or less, kind of a strong kind of small, even army. I think a lot of people have even said that he kind of even prefers sometimes a bit, kind of smaller squads, because that means, he can truly, kind of like assure that all of the players kind of understand his message and kind of understand his tactics, as well as, what he wants from them. So I don't know. I feel like, Conte, Dave, he has, kind of, turned this team into an entirely different, kind of a scenario. And he does have them running through brick walls. And I think the point I'm trying to emphasize there is he has every player maybe running through brick walls, where I feel like maybe Jose, maybe only had like 70% of the squad, maybe at times, doing it, not the whole squad. Nuno probably only had one player and, doing it for him.
That was so.
And so, yeah, it's clear that he actually has every player, behind him. And the ones that aren't behind him, he's gotten rid of.
Exactly, and that's the way it should be, Jack. I think the most important thing that you alluded to there, it's a squad in Conte's shape with Conte's stamp on it, and that's the most important thing. You look at Pochettino, I think that's the last time we probably had it where people would run through brick walls for that guy. But the difference with Pochettino is they ran through brick walls because they were his friend. With Conte, they're going to run through brick walls purely because they're afraid of him and afraid exactly what's going to happen. They'll be dropped from the starting lineup, and eventually, if they don't get into gear, they'll be dropped from the squad altogether. And they do not want that. Absolutely love that. I mean, anybody got anything else to add on to that before we move on, boys?
No, great point. I think when you just said like they're scared of Conte, it's spot on, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, now they're actually fighting for a place. And the other thing to add is, when it was Poch, it was very much buddy. They're they're the friends, but also the squad depth wasn't.
Coronation Street used to fuck me off that.
But the squad depth wasn't there under Poch to what it is now. Anyway, this is the best squad we've had in absolutely years, like years and years and years. So the other thing is, a lot of players played, like for example, Serge Aurier is a good example. He blew hot one game, cold the other, but he also knew that there wasn't really much of a backup, especially when Trippier left. So he knew he was going to play the next game. But now, if Emerson plays badly, he knows that Matt Doherty's coming in the next game. Or if Bentancur plays badly, he knows Basuma's coming in the next game. Or Kulusevski, Richarlison. We've got a position in every... we've got a backup in every position, which is what Conte wanted. 2 men on each position. It's great. It's absolutely great.
It's the way it should be. It's the way it should be. The shit that we've had to watch and the players we've had to watch over the last 2-3 years should never, ever, ever happen at Tottenham Hotspur, and should never, ever, ever happen again. The fact that you're sitting there and be like, oh, well, what if we play Winks here? What if we move Dele into left back? What if we put Ndombele up front? That's where he needs to play. I mean, absolutely horseshit. I couldn't believe some of the shit I had to listen to over the last couple of years. Oh, Dele Alli's not a striker, or he's not a midfielder. Let's play him as a striker. Let's play him as a left back. Let's play him. No, if a player does not perform, what you do with the fucker is you drop him and you tell him until you start performing, you're not getting anywhere near this football. Not anywhere near the squad. That's what should be happening. I'm glad that we now have a manager like Conte who will make that happen. You shouldn't have to sit there and beg players to play. You should never have to sit there and say, oh, well, he's not playing well in his favorite position. Fuck it, stick some gloves on his feet and put him in goals. You know what I mean? Absolutely. It should never happen at a club like Tottenham Hotspur. And thank God that mediocrity is over. And do you know what? Chelsea are going to get the fucking back end of it today. I cannot wait.
The most recent one that annoyed me.
Pumped up. What's going on?
The most recent one that annoyed me was, why don't we play Lucas Moura as a right wing back? No. Lucas Moura is not a right wing back. He hasn't been for the last 10, 15 years of his career. So he's not going to suddenly be a right wing back. We need to get in a right wing back. Stop saying that, Dele Alli can be a second striker. Maybe he's got some more legs. Dele Alli should have gone 3 years before he did. Like that. You're spot on, Dave. That was perfect. Clip that up and put it on your socials.
Honestly, it's like saying Dele Alli can be a show pony, put him out there dancing around, jumping over little fences and stuff. It's ridiculous. People were sort of telling me, oh, Dele Alli spoiler, let's make him a model. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous what we've had to endure the last while. Cannot wait to smash them today. Big up Aussie Spur. And guys, everybody, Aussie Spur is a great point here. If you are enjoying this show, why the hell haven't you already smashed that like button? First of all, it's free. It's the thumbs up button. And all you got to do is just absolutely bury it one, like we're going to do to Chelsea today. Don't break your screen if you don't have insurance. I don't recommend that, but absolutely bury that like button. If you haven't, smash that subscribe button. And if you want Tottenham to beat Chelsea today, send in a super chat, guys. It really is a great way to help support the channel, everything else we do here, and a great way to skip the queue, get your comments highlighted, and then we will all have a good discussion on it as well. Come on, you Spurs. I'm absolutely buzzing for today. Philip, on and off the field, are we in a better shape than what we've been for an awfully long time?
Oh,
you there, Philip? Nope, don't think Philip's there. We'll get him again. James, I already asked a similar question to that earlier, but again, do you think on and off the field
I suppose
that
we're in the best position we've been. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you
Can
now.
you hear me?
Go on.
Philip, maybe.
Yeah. Log out and log back in, Philip.
Log out, log back in, I would say, so you can sync back up with us. I think you're a bit far behind us.
Jack, just send a private message into the chat there for Philip to read.
Yeah.
James,
can you hear me?
man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, okay.
no, he's lagging.
Log out and log back in, Philip. Log out and log back in, my man. James, do you think this football club is in the best position it's been in such a long time?
In my lifetime, 100%. I do not remember a more exciting time as a Spurs fan. Sometimes I had to pinch myself and try and actually get hyped up when I wasn't. That's me being honest as a Spurs fan. And I think we all can agree that sometimes we're like, we get top 4 and win a trophy this season. And secretly, deep down, we know that it's probably not going to happen. Whereas this season, I'm genuinely hand on heart can say, I do think we're going to get top 3. I do think we've got a very, very good chance of getting far in all 3 competitions and winning the trophy. And the squad is just, we've mentioned it a couple of times. The squad is just completely different. I remember even 3, 4, 5 years ago talking about Clinton and Jai, talking about Kevin and Hoodoo. No, it's got to be mentioned though.
You sit there researching all these names last night and just said, you know what I'll do? I'll bring them up to piss off Dave.
It's not pissing you off though, is it? Because if you think about it, you're thinking, well, we haven't got any of those, not as many of those clowns in our squad anymore, if any, because that's you asked me the question, is our squad in the best place it's been? Like I'm saying, in my lifetime, we've all had to put up with Vincent Janssen and an absolute just mediocrity. Whereas now you look at our squad, yes, it's not perfect, but there's so many positions that have at least 2 players that you can say, okay, they can do a job when they need to. And yes, we're still 2 or 3 players away from potentially being a perfect squad, maybe 3 or 4. But the squad is in such a good place. We've got the best manager we've ever had in my lifetime. We've got the best stadium in the world. We've got the best training facilities. We've got one of the best sporting directors, Paratici. He's getting the players out that he needs to. 100%. And answer your question, this squad is in the best state. And if we have a good season up till January, you just know that we can even complete the job on the squad. Get rid of the last couple, bring in a couple, and then bang, you're right in the midst of being a title challenging team.
I think I'm going to go out and say this. I think we've got the best director of football in Paratici that we've ever had. I believe we've got the best manager that we've had
since Bill Nicholson.
Since Bill Nick, you know what I mean? I believe we've got one of the best playing squads I've seen in a long time supporting Tottenham Hotspur. So I believe this club is probably in the very best position I've seen it in some time. And don't get me wrong, it's took a lot of work for us to get to this point because we were going in one direction very, very quickly. The difference is United decided to keep Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and we pulled the trigger and went and got Conte. If we did not do that, we would still be in dire straits right now. So thank God we pulled the trigger and went and got Conte when we did. We will be waiting for Philip's return. Adrian Gia says, great point, Dave. Same shite. Ten Hag facing now at Man United. Look, I know Jack is a huge critic of Ten Hag, and he's made it clear that he does believe he has to take some blame for yesterday. Look, I think he does, but again, I think United are at the point where I was at with Spurs. No point in sitting here blaming managers when it's the same players, same results. At the end of the day, a manager can't, how can you expect the manager to come in and do something different than what all the other managers have done previously? All play different ways, different styles of management, different philosophies, but yet cannot get that group of players going. At some stage, you just have to accept that it's your playing, it's your personnel. They are nowhere near good enough to be competing at the level you want your club to be competing at. You look at the goals yesterday, okay, the first one went in, shit mistake by De Gea. But then after that, all their players started just running up the pitch looking for long ball. They're not Burnley Football Club. It's supposed to be Man United. Get on the ball, look for it. You know, and look, I know Brentford pressed the United very, very high and got 2 goals off of that. But, you know, it was only Eriksen, the only one coming to make an option for De Gea. Everyone else was waiting for him to pump it long. That's not United's style of play. And that's definitely not when Ten Hag is teaching them either. For me, that comes down to the players being scared, lack of confidence, and look, not good enough to be there, in my opinion, to be honest with you, Adrian Gia. Look, I don't think Ten Hag was the best appointment anyway. Tottenham Hotspur walked away from him, A, because his English wasn't good enough, and B, because they thought, you know, oh, fuck that, I'd rather pay €2 to watch paint dry. You know what I mean? He's just a boring person. And look, he's gone into United. I don't think their fortunes are going to change anytime soon. And look, you're never too big to go down. That's what I will say, Adrian. Never too big to go down. Dark Sung G says, Blues' depth is really depleted. Rudiger, Christensen, Sarr, Alonso, Kovacic injured, Ziyech, Pulisic, Chilwell, Hudson-Odoi, lack match fitness, Gallagher and Broja just lack quality. I couldn't agree more. I think, look, Rudiger is a huge loss.
Yeah, you know, I was just going to mention this, Dave. Like, you know, Marcos Alonso, really not really, I don't know. He was a good player in the Premier League to some extent, but that guy would develop superpowers. It always felt like, you know, against Spurs, like every touch he would have was just genius. Every finish he would make was like a striker's finish. You know, he was just always brutal, you know, against us, Marcos Alonso. In a similar fashion, Rudiger kind of was the same, just kind of a bully, you know, to Spurs. I felt like, I don't even know what we ever did to Rudiger, but it felt like he would get even more pumped up than he would for an average game, you know, against Spurs. It felt like he was just extra nasty against us. And as good as Koulibaly is as a center back, you know, as quality as he is, I'm actually happier to be coming up against Koulibaly instead of Rudiger, because Rudiger almost in itself was kind of a hoodoo, you know, sort of, you know, like player. That guy, you know, would just kind of make you nut, kind of like Romero. He kind of just gives you that Romero sort of treatment where you just don't really want to play football, you know, anymore, with the way he likes to, you know, go about the game and how pumped up he gets for these sort of occasions. And like I said, I'll repeat myself again. Maybe Koulibaly's probably a bit better on the ball, you could say, than a Rudiger, but in games like these, like, I don't know, I would maybe rather play Koulibaly, because Rudiger is just one of those kind of psychos, you know, in the back line that you just don't really want to, you know, come up against. Rudiger, I'd rather play against a quality center back than a psycho like Rudiger.
Just no nonsense.
Drop with cramp, you know. Koulibaly, I mean, honestly, he's a walking tampon, that guy. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what I mean by that, Dave. Like, maybe Koulibaly, you know, probably has better on the ball ability and things like that, maybe than Rudiger ever did. But Rudiger is a lot like Romero, where it's just one of those players you just don't really want to come up against, like, ever. Like, you probably might even say to the manager, you know, listen, you know, not feeling too good in the warm up, you're just going to have to put in someone else, you know, kind of situation. I really would, you know, those sort of players I would hate playing against.
One more thing to mention on this super chat, because I think it's a really good point from Dark Sun G. Like, do you guys feel like they've kind of lost a little bit of their core, a little bit of their identity? Because obviously Rudiger's a huge loss, but then also the ones that kind of go under the radar, like you said, Marcos Alonso, Kovacic, obviously injured. Chelsea fans think that he's their best centre mid when Kante's not on form, better than Jorginho. So I think they really have lost their core a little bit.
Of course they have. Look, a lot of their players, as soon as Abramovich was dumped out of there, they know what's coming. Chelsea are going back down to the club that we all remember, you know? Absolutely, you know, crap. You know, honestly, I bet you they're going back to, there's no strikers today. They probably wish they could get Luca Vialli out of retirement or a Drogba out of retirement.
Zola.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them mentioned on the subs bench, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't. Look, Rudiger was a huge part of that dressing room. Gone. Christensen has been around that club for years. Gone. Alonso, whatever people like to say about him, he turns up for Chelsea. He doesn't want to be there anymore. Ziyech doesn't want to be there anymore. You know, Pulisic, not developed into the player that they ever thought he would. Chilwell, only there for the money. Hudson-Odoi, been working for Bayern Munich for the last 2 years. They have massive problems at Chelsea. The fact that they're left with Broja up front, who was on loan at Southampton last season, it's a disgrace for someone like Chelsea. They've loads of fractures there. They're there for the taking today. They are there for the taking today.
I almost feel like
I
it's
said, their
roles
manager
reversed.
doesn't want to be there. Half the squad doesn't want to be there. They are fractured, and we've got to go in there and drive the nail in. We've got to blow that up into smithereens. Get rid of Chelsea. I mean, London's ours.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's a little bit of roles reversed as well, Dave. Like last season in January, again, we know what happened, but their squad they had backups in every position. That's kind of us now, and they're kind of struggling to have a position in every a backup in every position on their bench. Like their bench today will be nowhere near what it was in January when we played them 3 times. So that's another thing to mention is it's kind of roles reversed. Now it's our turn to bring on big boys off the bench, and like, you know, their squad depth was pretty good last year, even last season.
It's gone now. It's gone now, thank God. Big up that Song G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. We also have Shem Tan says, do we now have the mentality to win at the Bridge? Philip, we'll bring you in on this one, my man. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm back on. Sorry about that.
You're all good.
Do we have the mentality? Yes. I'm very, very, very surprised if we don't see a completely different animal on the pitch today than we saw last season against Chelsea. It's as if we were scared to play them last year, and that is not going to be the case. And Conte will not accept that. That is a hanging offence as far as he's concerned. To go out, play a team, no matter who it is, without the mentality. We proved it last season against Man City twice, Liverpool twice, so we can do it. So today is the one. Get over this. What's the elephant on our back of the results at Stamford Bridge? Get that out of the way today, and let's consign it to the dustbin of history.
And let me tag team with Sham here, Philip. Is this game the perfect game for Antonio Conte and the Tottenham boys to send out a big warning to their Premier League rivals with a nice London derby win?
Absolutely. You know, they're already starting to take notice of us. You know, the fact that we're and some bookies in some places were third favourites for the title. So the people are starting to take notice, you know. And let's hope that we get a little bit more friendly press than we have been getting in seasons gone by, you know, rather than jumping on every negativity that comes out and ignoring the positivity. Let's hope it's the other way around this season, that they show a lot of positivity, you know.
Oh, we will. Big up, Shem, brother. Really appreciate support. Dark Song G says Son, Kane, Pierre, Hoiberg has less pressure on them because of the depth. I agree, my man. I could not agree more. Look, with Kane and Son, you know, we've got Kulusevski there, and we've now got Richarlison to come off the bench. They're not the only ones that we have to look to every single minute to look to win us the games. Look, it's not going to stop them from wanting to be that man. 100% it's not. But the fact that we now have different options, it just takes that little bit of pressure off Son and Kane. People used to call us Kane FC. Look, I think that's absurd anyway, because, I mean, what clubs don't rely on the world-class players or the match winners to go and win you games? I think it's a bit of a stupid argument to have. But the fact that we've got other players there to do it, and especially for cup games, it just means we can rest these guys. You know, bringing Harry Kane out to Pacos to Ferreira, NS Moore sitting on the bench shouldn't have to happen. Bringing Son to Marine to sit on the bench should never have to happen. But the reason why these managers have had to do it is because they haven't trusted the players they've sent out there, and they have them there as a fail-safe option to come off the bench and put things right again. This time round, it doesn't matter. They can be rested because you've got players that you believe in and that you can trust in. And I think that is very, very important, Dark Song G. And then we've got Brad Matthews. He says, Son, bacon rolls, electric guitar, then pub. Come on, you Spurs. Look, all I can see is bacon rolls, Brad. You know, slap a bit of butter, a bit of brown sauce on that baby, and you are away, brother. You are
brown
away.
sauce on game day. Conte's not allowing you to have any brown sauce on game day, Dave. You're going to have to, you know, after the victory, Dave. Not before the victory, my man. Not before the victory.
Oh, no,
Conte
I can
told
have
me
brown
personally.
sauce. I have a special relationship with Conte. I can do what I want. Conte said that to me.
Special accommodation.
Brown sauce. You know, I'm special. Big up, Brad. Enjoy the day, my man. Enjoy the day. In fact, if you want to get venturous, bring the guitar down to the pub, my man. Because when we win, you can rock out, my man. Absolutely rock out. Big up, Brad. Hope you're keeping well, my man. James, we lost in all 4 meetings against Chelsea last term. Would a solid performance and 3 points against the Blues point to a change at Tottenham and demonstrate to the Premier League that we really do mean business under Antonio Conte this year?
I was thinking about this earlier. It would be the biggest statement obviously of the season, there's only been 2 games, but in terms of like everyone, there's a lot of pundits out there saying we're going to finish 3rd and this is a really good season for Spurs. But if we lost today, can you imagine the reaction we'd then get? It would be like typical Spurs, a bit like what Philip was saying about the media and the press. We'd get everything on our back. But if we win today, I mean, what a statement that is.
Absolutely.
To say that we have beaten Chelsea after losing 4 in a row, to say we've beaten Chelsea at Stamford Bridge for the 2nd time in 25 years, that change, I mean, it couldn't be a bigger statement, I don't think. If beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge is our toughest task as a Spurs team, it has been for the last 25 years. We've beaten Man City more away, we've beaten Arsenal more away, we've beaten Liverpool more away. But Chelsea is the one. It's the toughest test in terms of the voodoo and everything else. So if we win today, wow, what a statement. Everyone will start going, Spurs are actually title challengers. Spurs are actually in for a trophy this season. But like I said, if it doesn't go that way, it's a huge game because whichever storyline, it's whichever path, isn't it?
There's definitely 2 different scripts here for sure. And, in the case of, like you said with Chelsea, it sort of feels like, Antonio Conte, a lot of us have said the culture is changing. Spurs are just not, the same Spurs, of the past. I feel like winning this game would probably be a defiant sort of, kind of statement for, kind of proving that sort of factor. Because have we really proven it? Yeah, that I think we have maybe in certain ways, that, this is a very different Spurs. This is a very different, kind of image as well as kind of, morale and vibe around Spurs. At the same time, you want, maybe a win like this to really just prove it, to everyone. And especially I know for Philip's case, because then, he or Spurs maybe get, a bit more respect on the likes of Fraud Sports, and whatnot, and when he hears our name. If we win today, I guarantee a lot of people will be giving us a lot more respect.
That's what I mean. They'll be doing columns. The pundits like Jamie Redknapp, Gary Neville will be going, Spurs are a real team this year. They're real contenders. Whereas if we lose, it's the complete polar opposite. Like Philip was saying, it's going to be the negativity band again. But like you're spot on as well, Jack, in terms of there's been a lot of talk about Tottenham. A lot of people are predicting 3rd, but there's not really been a statement performance yet. A, because we haven't got round to it. But B, now it is Chelsea. I mean, Southampton, we probably would have beaten 4-1 anyway. But Chelsea, if we beat them, I mean, it's the biggest statement of all because it'd be the 2nd time in 28 years or whatever it is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Love that, James.
Can I add another pundit to the Hall of Shame?
Yeah, what correct.
And he's an ex-player of ours, and although he was an ex-player at Chelsea as well, Jason Conte on Talk Shite.
Yeah, he is the worst to us.
He is unbelievable. He says yesterday he can't understand Spurs fans. We have 2 trophies in 30 years, and he just cannot understand our mentality. I come from a player that played for the club, took our money, and gave nothing in return, basically. To have such disrespect. And it's not just now when they're playing Chelsea, it's every game Spurs come up with. Conte is on our back. Yeah. So I've got a target on his back now. So let's hope we have him eating cake tonight after we beat them.
Don't worry, I'll be straight on to Talk Sport putting in comments, my man. I might even phone in today if we beat Chelsea.
Please. He might actually miss. I think it's the sports bar he's on, Philip. He might actually be missing it, tonight, potentially, if Chelsea gets smacked, enough, might actually just have to cancel it entirely because I bet, he wouldn't want to show up. I know what you're talking about, Philip. I saw that take of his. It was actually just, again, like you said, for a former player as well. He really just loves, to make his living off of, just chatting about Spurs. He just seems to, when he runs out of material, runs out of things to say, it's just his go-to. Yeah. I know what you mean, Philip.
I think he's taken over Adrian Durham. Adrian Durham used to be worse than that. He's gone now, thank God.
Look, at the end of the day, we beat them today. He's going to have me lined up on the line, and then he's going to have Philip Brady straight after. He's going to be called Jason. See you next Tuesday. That's what he'll be called, Jason. Yeah, you know the rest. I'm not even going to get into it, but that's what he'll be called. I mean, Jacko, the back three practically pits itself. Langley out injured. Davinson Sanchez not getting anywhere near that back line. I hope it will be Romero, Dyer, and Davies. So no point in talking about that back three. But where Conte does have a headache, it seems, is that left wing back. Session was very active down that wing, especially in the attack versus Southampton. Scored, obviously, and looked fitter and sharper than what Perisic does at the moment. But many fans want Perisic to start today because he is experienced, he's a big game player, and is technically better, and is a leader. Who would you start and why?
It's a really good question there, Dave. Just quickly, John Stokes celebrating 7 months, and he's saying, afternoon, Dave and Jack. 3-1 to Spurs. Sonny to score. Big up, John Stokes. Absolute legend.
Big up,
Celebrating
Johnny
7
boy.
months. Just make sure I didn't miss that. Big up, John. Good to see you in the chat.
What jersey are you wearing today? I know you've got a nice haul. Recently got a nice haul. What jersey have you got on today, brother? Put it in the chat. Let me know.
To answer your question, Dave, I see why Spurs fans, are thinking Perisic, right? He's got the experience, he has, maybe obviously the better technical quality, going forward and whatnot. It's just, maybe it's the Spurs fan in me, Dave. Maybe it's the sentimental, human being in me. But I feel like you kind of have to give Sessegnon the shout, kind of explain why. I think Sessegnon proved that, maybe he has been working on, kind of his creative ability, or at least, his ability in the final third. He almost scored, practically a hat trick, you could say, against Southampton. He had plenty of chances, against them. He also really hypes himself up for these sort of fixtures, Dave. We've seen him do really well in these sort of one-on-one kind of, contests. He was able to shut down Salah. He was able to do exceptional against Man City, I recall, as well. The guy has, put in some really solid performances against some pretty big name sort of players. And oftentimes I feel like even maybe going into the game, we would have been probably a bit unsure whether, Conte actually knew whether Sessegnon was ready for those matches. We were actually quite concerned because he was picking Sessegnon ahead of Reguilón for these like big, games. And I feel like, he might do the same, with Sess, just because he knows Sess seems to, almost be a bit more resolute, you could say a bit more confident in maybe these sort of fixtures when he does have a big test ahead of him. I don't think you have to tell Sessegnon twice what he knows he's coming up against, Dave. He's coming up against Reece James as well as Mason Mount, two compatriots, for him. And then on top of that, two players that, kind of just make it into that England squad right away. He probably would want to send, maybe a bit of a message to them, that he's been working on his game and he could maybe even have a crack, into that England squad. And I'll say this again, I feel like he has a pretty good record, in these big gmes. I don't really recall, a performance from Sessegnon in the big top 6 sort of kind of fixtures where he's played poorly. He's always played well. He's always played well. So I think you play him, and then Perisic, he maybe comes in kind of early second half in case, we're kind of struggling to create. And especially if he's struggling to create and he kind of, proves me wrong, I feel like then you put in Perisic early in the second half and go from there. And also Perisic only just coming back from injury, and everything. Like, I'd almost rather give him 90 minutes against Wolves, a team that we know will be really, tough to break down, instead of maybe this game. I feel like this game is almost just as suited for Sessegnon as it is, for Perisic. I think it's suited for both of them.
And look, to be fair to Sessegnon, he performed well last season against the big teams, like you were saying, Jack. I think it would be harsh to drop the guy today. I do see him maybe struggling on the ball up against Reece James, whereas I think Perisic realized he doesn't have the pace of Reece James, but he'll outdo him up here. And I think that's what would probably help us today. But I mean, James, have you any thoughts on it, Perisic or Sessegnon?
I agree with Jack. I'd start Sessegnon, A, because of Perisic's fitness, because I don't think he's 100% fit, and B, I think Sessegnon has played pretty much against the top 6 last season, pretty much every game, and he was superb. I mean, Liverpool away, he was very good when we got the 1-1 draw. Man City away, he played that game, didn't he, when we won 3-2. He also pocketed Mahrez in the home fixture where we won 1-0. Yeah. So, I mean, there's been 4 or 5 times where Sessegnon has performed in the bigger games. So I completely agree with both of you. I would start Sess. And the luxury is, right, if he's not playing very well, if we're saying at half time he's getting absolutely done on the left hand side and we need to change it, Conte won't be afraid to bring on Perisic at half time. I have no doubts in that either. So in a way, it's quite a nice problem, really. I think Sessegnon plays well in big games, and you got Perisic with the experience if you need it.
Yeah, and Philip, any thoughts on the Sessegnon or Perisic? It seems to be the big debate.
It's probably maybe the one position that maybe is up for debate as to who to change it from last Saturday, or I remember it beat Southampton. I agree. I think Sessegnon should start, but I feel like Reece James is a different animal than the Southampton boy that he was playing last week. So I have a feeling, I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to see Sessegnon having to be substituted early. We've seen that happen once already, and that was not pleasant. But I have a feeling that after 50 or 60 minutes, we might see Perisic coming on. Okay, if we're winning the game, there's probably no need to do it. But I just had this feeling that it'll be a hell of a battle between James and Sessegnon. And isn't it good to have a bit of what a substitute to have to come on to redress the balance if things aren't going our way. So keep it as it is, but be fluent and just fluid. And possibly, I think we will see Perisic at some stage during the match.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so as well. Hopefully Ryan Sessegnon can deliver the goods like he did last week. Take a few super chats here. Mile High Hotspur, big up, brother. I hope you're keeping well. Says today is the day. The bridge is over. If ever there is a time, it's now. Come on, you Spurs. Much love, Tottenham community. And my man, I could not agree more. Look, for me, I think the gap is closer than what it's ever been. And for me, I think today's the day to get that hoodoo off the back. We get that hoodoo off our back today. That's 6 points that we dropped last season. Southampton at home, we dropped points last season. Chelsea away, dropped points last season. Follow up with Wolves next week, which we dropped points last season. That's 9 points last season that we dropped, that we've picked up this season. We win today, we will go on and have a very good season. We will go on and go for a league challenge because it just proves to me that the mentality is different. There's a different aura around Spurs. So we win today, my man. Absolutely anything is possible this season. Absolutely anything. I absolutely love that Mile High Hotspur. And everybody get over and check out the channel.
Great channel. They've been putting out a lot of content as well. Good late night content too, everybody. If you kind of like that as well, they go at a good time. I've enjoyed it. I've been in the chat. The YouTube algorithm, has shown me them. It seems to, YouTube seems to like them. They're growing quickly. So I would say Mile High Hotspur. Everybody, check it out. Check out the channel.
Big up. Do you remember the Battle of the Bridge back in 2016? That infamous
game.
Right. One Christian Romero tackle today could reignite it.
I hope so. And I hope he takes the Lamella roll and stamps on somebody's hands while he's on the ground. That's what I want to see. I want to see that aggression come out of Eric Dyer again. He was involved in that. I want to see that today. What I want to do is I want to beat them on a football level first, and then I want to shithouse them, and I want to beat them on that level next, and then I want to beat their fans as well, beat them into submission. That's what's going to happen. I hope we're 2-3-0 up, and we turn it into another battle of the bridge. Take them off their game altogether. That'll be absolutely unreal. Dark Zone G says, first of the Blues last season was Nuno. Second game, Carabao Cup, no Dyer, Son, Romero, QE, Bentancur, or Kulu, plus our new summer signings. Third Carabao's same, plus 4 Premier League the same. Now we have a fully fit team and ready, starting 11. I mean, James, what would you say, Dark Zone G here? It's pure facts.
Pure facts, other than the last word, ready starting 11. I'd say we've got a ready starting squad. And that's a big difference as well. But you're right, the players we didn't have available in some of those games, like Dyer, Son, Romero, Bentancur and Kulusevski, it's absolute, that's 6 or 7 top quality players that we didn't have available for those games. So I mean, we've covered it a lot already, but I think the squad as well. Like we're kind of debating a couple of positions like left wing back, whereas before we'd be like, well, we know it's Reguilon. However, we don't know what Reguilon's going to turn up because Reguilon, you could count on probably 2 hands how many amazing / good games he had for Spurs. I don't know if that's harsh to say so, but especially going forward, we did question his end product, didn't we? So
yeah,
there's so many differences. So yeah, I agree. I very much agree with this comment.
And what I will say, look, I've been looking around at Chelsea channels the last few days, and they just have that air of arrogance. Honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, and what I will say is, look, I can't wait for little Raheem to come up against Romero, the Argentinian assassin. He's just going to absolutely take him out. In fact, you're going to see Sterling go down so quickly, you're going to think there's a sniper on the roof. That's how quickly Romero is going to put an end to Sterling. And what Romero does, and what he does not get enough credit for is, when that player tries to take him on the first time, he clatters him. He gets brave, he goes, I'll do it a second time. He clatters him even harder. And what happens then is you see all these players completely changing their game. Romero's running towards them. They pass the ball off. They do not want Romero. I've been there up against these aggressive guys, studs down the back of your Achilles, constantly grabbing you, holding you, all the tricks of the trade. It is absolutely horrible. What Romero does is he makes them change their game. And you will see that happen today with Havertz, with Sterling. You know, we even seen it against Roma. Against Roma, Romero went charging at some lad. What did he do? Balloon it into the stands. Why? Because he did not want a piece of Romero. He was that afraid, he ballooned it into the stands. With Bentancur and Kulusevski, Bentancur and Kulusevski, Chelsea don't know what's going to hit them today. They do not know what's going to hit them. They're going to look at Bentancur in midfield and be like, fuck me, where did Spurs pull this guy out of? He absolutely dominated that game in midfield last week. 90% passing success rate. Just all over the place. The guy's always in 10, 15 yards of space. You know, it's going to be great. You're going to see Conte hauled off because he cannot get close to Bentancur today. That's what's going to happen. And when it comes to Kulusevski, well, that retirement village better be ready. They're on their way out. Kulusevski is on his way up. He's too strong, too intelligent, and too good on that football. And God help them if they let him cut in on his left. Because that ball is going towards the back post, so that's going to end up in the top bins, and they won't be able to do anything about it. Dark Sun G, we are an entirely different proposition this time round than what we were when they slapped us 3 games last season. And add that Conte is like a fucking caged animal today, waiting to get one over on them. He absolutely hates Chelsea. And you look at Kane and Son, they're also going to be caged lions. You're going to see Harry Kane sprinting through the middle of that pitch, you know, like a gazelle, you know, the hair just flapping in the wind because he's using a bit of wax instead of actual hair gel to get it matted down. You know, you're going to see his size 10s absolutely unleash one. I cannot wait. Big up, Dark Sun G.
One more point. It's kind of going off both your points there, Dave and Philip, in terms of like the Battle of the Bridge in 2016. You looked at that team and you had players that would hit him hard, like Lamela, Moussa Dembele, whereas the last few fixtures, we haven't had that Romero type player really, where you hit them hard early and you let them know you're there very early. Like you were saying, Dave, you've played on these games where if you get someone that hits you hard from minute 1 or 2, and you know you're in for a battle, then it changes the complete mentality of the game. So if Romero hits them hard, if Dyer hits them hard, even Bentancur or Højbjerg, I reckon he'll be up for it today. I reckon we're going to see a very, very different game.
100%. Look, even if it's the first 10, 15 minutes and they're at home and they're settling into the game, rough the fuckers up. If you can't compete with them on a football level for the first few minutes, rough them up. Bring them down to your level. It's what's got to happen. These are supposed to be your rivals. Should be going into this game thinking about, who am I going to absolutely put in hospital today? I know, little Raheem, T-Rex arms. That's what's going to happen. He's going to end up in the hospital. I'm going to make Havertz wish he was down at the Chelsea flower show, picking up flowers for his missus and his mother. That's what should be happening today. And that's what I want to see happen. And I cannot wait to see it happen. Look, Winks. I mean, that guy wouldn't even hit up a bar on a fucking piss up, let alone go into Chelsea and clatter one of their players, you know? Different proposition this time round. Dark Sun G says we have different goal scorers now that can help. Could not agree more, my man. And even if that's not working, just get Ricky ready. You know, Slick Rick's going to come on. He's going to bang one in and he's going to pick up that flare. He's going to look at the flare. He's going to say, will I? And then he's just going to say, fuck it. It's going back into that crowd, just like I done for Everton against Chelsea last season. That's exactly where it's going. Big up, Dark Sun G. Gaguma with the super sticker, Jacko. What have we got?
Yeah, let me find out, Dave. Let me find out for you just a second here. Dave, she's just saying, you know, after we win today, we're going to be number 1, Dave. You know, the pointed finger is flying up into the sky after we get the 3-0 victory. I think like she predicted in the chat, you know, we're just going to be still top of the table because if we do win today, especially convincingly, still top of the table, I'd reckon.
I'll be putting that picture everywhere. Tottenham top of the table. I'll be plastering that absolutely everywhere, making sure everybody's aware who runs this Premier League.
We have got to win by 3, though. We've got to win by 3.
It doesn't matter. We can win 1-0. I couldn't care less. As long as we beat them, I do not care. You know, honestly, it could be an own goal and we win. I don't care. I just want to beat them so badly. Beat them into submission. They'd be begging me, Dave, please stop. DJ Samuel, new YouTube member. Big yourself up, my man. New fan shows every Monday and Friday, brother. Hopefully we'll see you on it, DJ. Really appreciate the support, my man. Dark Sun G says,
Footy Clips Daily, just before Dark Sun G super chat, he's saying, come on, you Spurs, come on, you flat caps. It's Rockstar 90 here. The Manscaped lover, he says, Dave, Rockstar 90. Good to see you, my man.
Absolutely
He's
love
Footy
that.
Clips Daily. Good to see you in the chat, brother. Really appreciate you tuning in. Celebrating
Big
6
up.
months.
He even gave me a compliment saying my beard game is strong as well. Absolutely love that, Footy Clips. Absolute legend. Good to see you back in the building. Dark Song G says, if I remember, we used Doherty at left wing back versus the Blues because Seth Young and Reggie was out injured, and you are absolutely correct. However, we now have a proven winner of a left wing back in Perisic.
Yeah.
Blues are doomed. I mean, Philip, we'll let you take this one, my man.
Yeah, I mean, okay, as Dark Sun G says there, we played a very weakened team against them last time. And Perisic, and okay, Perisic won't start today, as we've probably decided on ourselves here. But he's such a player to have in reserve to come on, and he's got such experience, and he's got a shot on him as well. So I mean, I'm just waiting for him to burst the net from 20 yards one of these games, because he will do it. He will do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's so much more positive today with the team selection as against the last time we played them, the last few times. And we're proven winners all over the pitch now, all over that pitch. And that's what we may not have had in the past. So Blues are doomed. Let's hope so.
Again, what Dark Song G highlights here, again, it's just going to be a complete different proposition for them this year. Matt Doherty at left wing back, it's just not something that you should ever see in your lifetime, to be honest with you. You know, so the fact that we now have proper left wing backs available to us today should be absolutely brilliant. THSE Till I Die says, today we stand together, we stand for the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, the pride of North London. The echo of Bill Nick will flow through the team today because we back here to win. Come on, you Spurs. Woo! Absolutely love that, Dermot. Big yourself up, my man. Absolutely love that. And we need Bill Nick to be looking over us today for sure, brother. Big yourself up, my man.
Great channel as well. Check out Dermot's channel, everybody. THFC Till I Die. Great channel, everybody. And then 2J.
You've got Ellie, you've got Philip Brady there as well. So make sure you do get over and check that out. And of course, Isan as well. 2J, good to see you in the building, my man. Where have you been? Long time no see, brother. Hopefully you are keeping well. First and foremost, says, I'm just here to say that Dark Sun G must be a millionaire. The amount of donations he's given you over time. Yeah, look, my man, look, we appreciate every single bit of it. Like, look, at the end of the day, we don't have any big wigs behind us. You know, no one, steering the ship. No one that, helping fund the channel. So we do rely on the generosity of the public to help keep us going, help keep this channel going, and hopefully help keep pushing it to new heights. So I really appreciate, everything that this fan base does for us,
Yeah.
Even getting asked to do other shows on other channels. It's because of the fans here. So, yeah, look, I really do appreciate it, my man. At the end of the day, these channels, every single channel needs the support. There's a lot of things to pay for behind the scenes that people don't see and stuff like that as well. So it's just all really helps out towards that. So all we can say is thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. When we have so many generous people that keep this channel afloat. Well said there, Dave. And 2J, I mean, you should know that, my man. You got millions, at some stage, you must have been like us, 2J. You must have been, looking for people to keep you alive, keep the show going, keep the channel going. And now he's at, I think, millions of subscribers. So big up, 2J, my man. I think he knows the journey as well. Big up.
He's got millions of subscribers. He does. He's a madman. Big up, 2J.
He knows the journey. He knows the grind. Big up, 2J.
He
Really
does.
do appreciate your support as well, 2J. You've shown us a lot of support, brother. And we all know Dark Sun G is, a massive supporter of this channel, and he keeps this channel going. And he's, a huge reason why, we've been able to improve the content so much, with the likes of, the predicted lineup stats with Jack, the watch alongs have been looking a lot better, etc. So you guys can see it on paper.
Big up, 2J. Big up, my man. Really appreciate it.
He follows us as well. He follows us on Instagram. He's a good lad.
He's got like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He's a madman, so he is. He's a madman. But I forget who I'm at, so I'm just going to throw this question out there, and one of you can answer it. This game is expected to be a tight, tense, tactical battle with both teams relying on their wingbacks to create chances. Does Conte keep the faith in Emerson, who we know has his limitations on the ball, or does he bring in Matt Doherty, who many fans, bar me, think he is actually better going forward?
No, I don't think. I think he has to leave Emerson in situ after the performance last week. I mean, I know he's been a whipping boy for us over the months. I mean, it's not that long ago, most of us wanted him out of the club, but he has knuckled down over the summer. And I mean, you can't fault his performance. He was second to Kulusevski in man of the match, in my reckoning, last week. So I think Doherty is there if Emerson gets injured or things are going really bad. He's having a nightmare match, but no, I think Emerson has earned the right to start today.
The other thing you have to,
Let James go first, because I know Jack is so passionate about Emerson.
I'll just make it quick. I was just going to say I agree with what Philip's saying. The only thing I would say is it is my biggest concern for today in terms of positions. Like everywhere else you look on the pitch, you're quite confident that the player is going to do a job today. But Emerson is, as we know, a little bit like a Sergio Aurier, where he'll have a really good game, but also a very, very poor game. So last week we saw his very, very good game. Hopefully he can produce again. But if there's going to be a mistake, you can, like we discussed before, Dave, like even a year ago, when it's either Dyer or Sanchez, it is kind of either Emerson or Emerson, it looks like today. You know, that's how I see it.
I feel like his worst performances have come against usually lesser opposition, not usually opposition that, you know, we're usually like challenging in the top six. In fact, Emerson has often been preferred even by Conte, you know, for these sort of like top six, you know, like games, because he knows that Emerson brings that sort of defensive edge that is probably needed, or at least defensive solidity. If you ask me, James, still to this day, I really doubt and question Doherty's, you know, defensive ability. He kind of just shows the player wherever he wants to go. Imagine him coming up against Raheem Sterling, as much as I know Dave, you know, makes fun of the T-Rex arms, you know, and whatnot. I think he would be chopping, you know, Doherty left and right. He would be able to take it which direction. A lot of people don't really realize is maybe as intelligent as maybe Doherty can be in possession. He's one of the slowest wingbacks I actually think, you know, I've seen, you know, in some time. I think the amount of ground that we saw Emerson cover, you know, against Southampton, as well as the pace that he even showed, you know, against Southampton, is probably a reason why you would actually pick him in this game. Because when we do win the ball, when we are able to, you know, lead a counterattack, you can't wait that extra 2 seconds for Doherty, you know, to get up the ground. You're going to need him to be there and ready and already sprinting down the pitch. And I honestly don't think Doherty is that sort of player where he's going to be able to cover, you know, 30 yards of ground and, you know, in a you know, easy amount of time. I think that's someone that Emerson can do. You could even see that Emerson, I think, is in much better shape, you know, than the likes of Doherty. We already know he's coming back from a really bad injury. And then as well, Emerson played well enough going forward, which we've never seen him ever do. Like, we've never actually seen him put in a real good performance going forward. We've always seen him put in good performances defensively, you know, and then that's when we give him that, you know, kind of praise. But we've never seen him match the defensive skills with, you know, a good performance going forward. And I think he did that against Southampton. And like I'll say again, when it comes to those counterattacks, which we're going to need to rely on against Chelsea, I'll get pissed off if I have to see Doherty, you know, have to wait an extra second just for him to be able to get down the line. And honestly, he'd probably be coming up against like a Cucurella or someone like that, you know, who he wouldn't be able to, you know, beat down the line. We do need Royale probably just for that strength and that bit of athleticism, as much as maybe Doherty has a better pass, maybe, you know, a bit more composure and possession and whatnot. Sometimes these sort of games, you are going to need someone that actually offers a bit more physical prowess. And I think Emerson certainly offers that.
Look, I don't have reservations of Emerson defensively, but I do with Doherty defensively. And for me, today you've got to start Emerson over Doherty. Look, Doherty hasn't exactly hit the ground running during pre-season. He hasn't filled me with too much confidence. And look, yeah, you can argue that he's played over at left wing back, etc., etc. But for me, I think I can count on Emerson more defensively than what I can Doherty. And I think Emerson is perfect for a game like today. We'll take this from Coach TPM. Says, question for the board. Obviously, Lloris has a few years left, but who do you see as the future captain? And who do you think we will buy to replace Hugo Lloris? Look, for me, I would love us to be able to go and get young Bazunu from Southampton. I think for me, modern day goalkeeper, great distribution, a very good shot stopper as well. So for me, I think he should be Hugo Lloris's long-term replacement. Yep. Who do I see as captain? I'd give it to Harry Kane. Everyone else outside of Spurs seems to think he's their captain. So for me, I would give it to Harry Kane. I mean, Philip, have you any suggestions here?
Yeah, I think as we always talked about Bazuma last season, that we'd love to have him. I think he's too good for Southampton, to be honest with you. So let him out his trade there for a couple of years, then we'll take him back and have him as Lloris's replacement. I suppose Harry Kane, yes. Okay, Harry Kane now in 3 or 4 years' time. Who are we talking about? That's interesting.
Romero.
Romero, yeah, Romero is my man. Because I'll tell you one thing: if he tells you to do something, you'll do it.
Fucking right, you will. You see him punching Eric Dyer in the ribs just to celebrate with him.
Well, the man is an animal. He really is, but he's the right type of animal.
He's that much of an animal. He has to do something to you so that you know that he likes you. I absolutely love it. James, have you any suggestions here for Coach TPM? Guys, I'm just going to run and get this cooler. I am absolutely sweating buckets.
No
back
worries.
1 second.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Harry Kane. I mean, I can see Harry Kane being at the club for a number of years still, but I mean, Romero is obviously a very good suggestion. But do you guys, I'm flipping the question maybe to Jack and Philip here, do you guys think that while Eric Dyer is still at the club, that they would give it to, say, Romero over Dyer? Because although the captain,
I don't think they're giving it to Dyer or Romero. I think that would fall down the pecking order if you ask me. I think Højbjerg would sooner get the captainship than Dyer would. Probably just because Højbjerg, I don't even know. Like the midfield is so good now that would Højbjerg play enough, to really deserve the captain? I'm not really sure, but I think he's more of a leader than Dyer is still, and at the same time, he also plays more consistently well, I think, in comparison to the likes of Eric Dyer. I think Eric Dyer would be a bit of a Tyrone Mings situation, if you ask me, with him at the captainship. But maybe that's a bit harsh. Then again, though, I feel like Coach Lloris is a good captain. Apparently, he's, actually quite disrespected. A lot of people think he's not very vocal, not very active. But over the pandemic, when, there were no fans in the stadium, apparently, it would really show that he was actually the most, vocal player out there on the pitch. And a lot of times when you do hear, kind of commands, inside the box, it's actually Lloris's voice that you're actually hearing, not really actually other players. So I think Lloris is totally fine to continue with the captaincy. I kind of, maybe would agree with Dave. You maybe go for someone like Kane because he would be playing most games wearing the captain's armband. Sonny as well, though. He's also a captain for his national team. I think they could both take it easily. And then I guess Højbjerg could be another, maybe consideration. So I think it could be, maybe Dyer too. So Dyer, Højbjerg, Kane, or Son.
I guess if you say Højbjerg, though, there's question marks over, is he going to play every game, right?
That's my worries as well, and to be fair, I think I'd give it to Kane or Son. I think I'd give it to Kane or Son if you ask me. I think I'd let one of them,
if we're looking beyond Harry Kane for captain, then we're assuming Harry Kane is not going to be at the club. So let's be positive and say Harry Kane is going to be the next captain.
Maybe it's not really like Harry Kane is the leader, but I've heard the stories that Harry Kane's not really like a leader in the way that, Lloris or like Højbjerg, are leaders. Like Harry Kane is very much a leader by example. He's a leader by kind of his attitude and whatnot, but he's not always the most vocal guy on the pitch or anything. So
I have noticed lately in a couple of games there recently when the decision has gone against Spurs, Harry Kane's been the first one in the referee's face.
You're right.
So,
You're right,
maybe he's been tutored to do that role on the pitch.
And at halftime against Ajax in Amsterdam, he was, even though out injured, he was down in the dressing room picking everybody up and stuff like that, giving a bit of a team talk and a rousing speech. So, look, I wouldn't write off Harry Kane. I wouldn't write him off. I really wouldn't. The big up Coach TPM. Adrian Chia says, who else has Son, Kane, Kulu in the FPL?
All three.
Come on, you Spurs.
Wow.
I'll be honest, I've got Haaland, Kane, and I did try and get Mitrovic in there, but I fell short by 1 million. So I ended up putting in Romero. I left out Kulu. I probably shouldn't have. Anyone else got the front three?
I didn't put Kulusevski in mine. I didn't really change mine this week very much, Adrian. I probably should have, but I kind of wanted to, just not really read too much into the first game week. But I probably should have, at least, maybe moved in Kulusevski, because I think he probably wouldn't have cost me too much either, Adrian. I probably could have, gotten rid of, some, useless player like Grealish or something like that and, brought in, Kulusevski. So good point there, Adrian. Big up, man.
The other thing to mention is definitely don't take FPL tips off Dave, because, I saw a video the other day on We Are Tottenham TV. You've gone viral, mate. Yeah. He triple captained, what was it, Van Dijk? It's unbelievable, Dave.
Well, first of all, I haven't a clue how FPL works. It's my first time playing it. But second of all, James, it's a ruse. You know, I let people think like they don't know what I'm doing. I've done that on purpose just to go viral. And don't worry, my
Comeback of the
man, you see
century.
me sneaking up the leaderboard over the next few weeks. I'm on it. I'm on it now, my man.
It cracked me up.
Yeah. Look, you've got, you've got to send out the ruse out there, make it look like you don't know what you're doing, and then just sneak up that table. But by the end of it, I'll be cleaning up. I'll be taking all the winnings, and people be like, "How did this happen?" And I'll be like, "Well, I triple captain Virgil van Dijk. That's how it happens." Sergey Lempel says, "Which front three would be worst to start today? Would be the worst." First of all, I don't know why you're thinking about the worst front three out there today, but the worst would be like Lucas Moura, Gill and Richarlison, I suppose, would be your worst front three, if I'm being honest.
Not even that bad.
I don't know why you're thinking about the worst. We want the best out there, my man. We want the best, Sergey. Big yourself.
Maybe if he meant Chelsea, like maybe the worst to come up against Chelsea, I would say their most dangerous front three is probably Sterling, Havertz, Mason Mount. Maybe Hudson-Odoi, maybe instead of a Havertz or something like that. But I don't know.
Havertz is a good player. He is a top player.
He done it. He says he done it because it's hard to think about, isn't it? It's hard to pick, my man. But that's the state we're in right now, brother. That is the state we're in. Big yourself up, my man. Absolutely love that, Sergey. And Michelle Lewis says Eric Dyer would definitely be contender for captain. Respectfully disagree.
I did suggest that.
I
did say that.
Do you know what? I think Michelle has a point. I definitely think Dyer, he's been around a long time. A lot of managers seem to trust him. Everyone tells me he's bilingual, so look, it probably wouldn't be a bad shout. I'd be honest, I just don't envision Dyer being much of a leader, if I'm being honest, Michelle. I could go into it, but then I'd probably get beyond the realms of being respectful. So I'm going to be respectful and just say I don't think he's much of a leader, because some of the goals we concede wouldn't happen if he was out there leading vocally. That's just my opinion.
No, I think what it is, at least my point. I think Dave's point and my point is, I think he is probably a leader vocally. He's just not a good leader by example. And I think you need a captain to also be a leader by example. And I don't really think Dyer's always the best leader by example. He will make mistakes, and he will, look more vulnerable than other players on the pitch in certain moments. And so that's kind of why, you don't always want your captain to be, you want your captain to be one of the better players on the team, I think, as well. And I don't think I could say that, Eric Dyer is not one of the better players, on the pitch, at least in my book. And so I think that would be the problem.
He's got time on his side. He's got time to prove people wrong. So let's wait and see what happens there. Well, guys, let's talk a little bit about the midfield. Rodrigo Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg are developing a great partnership and dominated versus Southampton. Yves Bissouma is available today to make his debut after missing out against Southampton in terms of he could start today. Does Conte stick with the tried and trusted, and are they good enough to dominate that midfield battle with Conte and Jorginho? Because as we know, you win that midfield battle, you usually win the game. Or does Conte bring in Bissouma for his first start? We'll start with you on this one, Jacko.
It's really tough because Højbjerg did not really cover himself in glory. I remember in that game, in Chelsea, he was in a few of those where it just felt like, the midfield, just could not be touched. And, we've said this before, Jorginho is one of those players, he's kind of, a bit, it's probably a disservice to him, but, he is a bit Harry Winks-ish, Jorginho. He likes to drop deep, pick up the ball from the center backs, just control the tempo, control, the pace of the game. It's kind of their way of even defending, I would say, Chelsea, is they kind of defend with the ball, kind of similar to maybe Pep Guardiola, where, they're not really a team that's, defending, deep in their box. They're almost just defending by, just kind of passing you to death and, passing you to sleep. And that sort of happened in that one game that we played them, Dave, where it just felt like we couldn't get a hold of the ball or even get close to the ball. It just felt like they were just pinging it left and right. They were only playing one touch, two touch sort of football against us. And Højbjerg, I remember, could not get anywhere near, the ball in that game. Yeah. And so it does make me wonder, as much as I am, a big Højbjerg lover, is that because Højbjerg might not be as mobile, as your other sort of, defensive midfielder? Maybe someone like Bissouma, a bit more athletic, a bit more kind of, agile in certain areas, might be a bit better. But that also could be because I think Højbjerg might have been playing next to Winks or something, that match. So, anybody would look poor probably, next to Winks. So it's a tough one, Dave, because my only concern with Højbjerg in this one is that, like I said, Chelsea, they do a really good job at just moving the ball from left to right really efficiently. Is Højbjerg, going to be mobile enough and up for this one enough to be able to kind of pounce on some of those passes? Because what I mean to say is they don't really dwell on the ball at Chelsea. Even if they're not creating anything, it's kind of one touch, two touches, get rid, one touch, two touches, get rid. And that was what was making it so hard for us to even get near them that one game.
I definitely agree with you. Look, having Harry Winks in there, if Højbjerg goes, Winks has to go to the next man. So that pass that you're talking about, Jack, is not on. It's not an option. He has to be, you have to force him to take longer on the ball so that Højbjerg can get in around his ankles and dislodge the ball from him. And for me, I think having Bentancur beside him, if Højbjerg goes, you'll see Bentancur go straight away. We've seen it time and time again. It's the first thing I noticed when Bentancur came in. I think it was against Southampton. People were going mad about Højbjerg. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what are you going mad about? He's the only one in there working. He's pressing. Where's Harry Winks? He's 10 yards behind him, packing his suitcase to go to Spain. There's no one stopping that pass right across the midfield. Whereas when Bentancur came in, Højbjerg went, Bentancur went, and teams all of a sudden were struggling across that midfield. That pass, that 5-yard pass to the slide was not on. And I think it's crucial that both of them go together. If Højbjerg goes, Bentancur's ready, going at N'Golo Conte or whoever else is sitting there ready and waiting for that pass. For me, I think, look, you've got to start with Højbjerg and Bentancur and maybe look to bring Bissouma in if it's not working out. But I mean, James, what's your thoughts?
I was literally the last sentence you said. I think it's spot on. Højbjerg and Bentancur have to start, and the main reason, not only for the style of play that all the midfielders play and who's the best option, it's not the time to experiment, right? Bissouma hasn't had a 90 minutes with either Bentancur or Højbjerg, so I don't think now's the time to suddenly bring Bissouma in the starting 11 and expect him to play absolutely fluidly with Højbjerg or absolutely fluidly with Bentancur. I think that's what you do against Wolves next week, when you've got a bit more, you've got a bit more breathing space, and you know that you're probably going to have a good, much more comfortable game, I guess. Hopefully, obviously last season, but I think definitely start Højbjerg and Bentancur. And I think the other thing to mention about Højbjerg, yes, he can blow hot and cold, but the other thing to mention is he's an engine, right? Højbjerg is an absolute engine. You need someone that's going to run their socks off from minute 0 to minute 90. Whether he plays the whole 90, I don't know. But we need someone in there that's going to compete with Conte, that's going to run his socks off as much as Conte. And I think in our squad, that is Højbjerg. It really is. We just have to hope that his quality's up there and he's really producing the goods.
Couldn't agree more with that. I could not agree more. I think Højbjerg gets disrespected far too often. But the Godfather, I mean, what's your thoughts on the midfield today? Stick with Højbjerg and Bentancur, or bring in Bissouma to freshen up and get more legs in?
Like the Sessegnon and Perisic situation, this is probably the second most difficult decision Conte has to make. I think he'll stick with Højbjerg. I think he has to stick with Højbjerg. But again, if things aren't going right, such an asset to come off the bench to rectify the position in Bissouma. So, yeah, as is, but be fluid depending on how the match is going, Højbjerg doesn't deserve to be dropped. And until Bentancur and Bissouma, which I think, to be honest with you, in the long run, I think will be our central midfield pairing once they get to know each other and get comfortable. But at the moment, Højbjerg and Bentancur.
Yeah, I agree. Look, people give Højbjerg a lot of disrespect, and I get he's not the most fancy footballer, but you need someone like Højbjerg in that midfield to be competitive. We've seen over the last few seasons the massive problem we've had in there. We haven't had a ball player, but for a long time, I grew up watching Tottenham. We were soft. We didn't have anybody in the midfield to go and battle until we brought in someone like Wilson Palacios, who just used to fly around the place. And for me, look, you look at Højbjerg, he's a part of the leadership group at Tottenham Hotspur. He's first in, last out of the training ground every single day, and he works his socks off. Yes, he can have a bad game here or there, but the guy's playing nearly every single game for club and country across the last 2 years. Before Højbjerg came to this club, let's not forget, we could not get a grip in the midfield. That's the whole reason why Højbjerg was brought in, because we could not turn ball over. You had Moussa Sissoko running around like a headless chicken. Harry Winks wouldn't lead a piss up in a brewery. And on Belly, we all seen the images of him tracking a Burnley player.
We had no
He didn't want to
steal.
do it. Yeah, we had no steal whatsoever. We could not turn ball over in that midfield. So let's not forget, before Højbjerg came in here, the problems we had in that midfield. Since he's come in, we're able to get a grip in there. We're able to compete with teams in there. So let's not write off Pierre-Emile Højbjerg yet.
Every midfield needs steal. Every midfield needs steal.
Yeah, and you can guarantee that the likes of Bentancur, Kane, Son, Kulu, they love Højbjerg. They don't want to be running around doing the dirty work and winning the ball back. They're not that sort of player. But yeah. I can guarantee you they appreciate what Højbjerg does. I can guarantee you that. And look, maybe the last thing I suppose we'll touch on, guys, and then we'll get score predictions, is Koulibaly collapse with cramp versus Everton and was not really tested by any of their players. So I don't understand how he ended up getting cramp. Philip, is this an area we should focus on and get runners in behind him all game and run him ragged? But not only him, the whole retirement village that they have at the back line.
Yeah. I'm going to rename the Chelsea back line the Chelsea Pensioners. That's what, they're not quite there yet, but they're getting there. Yes, obviously. I mean, get in behind them. I mean, run them ragged, tire them out in the first half and kill them off in the second. Because this is going to be a very, very warm day. It's going to be guts to 30 degrees out there. And I mean, I was watching the Villa-Everton game yesterday, and the players in the last 10 minutes, they were dropping like flies. With cramp, with heat, with everything. You know, okay, there was time wasting going on as well, but it's going to be a very difficult last 20 minutes. And this is where I think our fitness will come in as well. We're a fitter team than Chelsea. We're a fitter team than anybody as far as I can see. But let's just tire those boys out and then kill them off when they're on their knees.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Jack, Koulibaly, you think he's definitely the weak link at that back line, in terms of fitness?
No, Azpilicueta, I would say, is probably the weak link, because with Koulibaly, I agree with you, Dave. That is maybe, concern for Chelsea that he pulled up, a hamstring, or some sort of, cramp. At the same time, they weren't playing very well, so maybe it was just a bit of time wasting, because they knew, they weren't going to get a second goal. But with Azpilicueta, he'll be coming up likely against Sonny, Dave. He's like 34 years old. I think he's probably better served in that back three than as a fullback, for them. But I feel like Azpilicueta, maybe as good as he's been for kind of one of those smaller, less gifted sort of players, I feel like Sonny, with how good a shape he's in, Conte sort of team, I don't know how they're going to account for that. I really just don't see how Azpilicueta would be able to handle that sort of dynamic of Kane and Son, on that left-hand side as well. Maybe if Sessegnon's playing well too, maybe they put Reece James back there to help out. But that's what I would say, Dave, is maybe take advantage of Azpilicueta because I think he will be in that team someplace. So I would take advantage of him.
I think that was a bit of a talking point in the Chelsea fan base. Do you move Reece James in as right-sided centre-back? Yeah. Azpilicueta out at right wing back. Look, for me, I think you've got to get Kane to drop in, try and get on the ball and get turned and play the runners in behind. But you've got to get Son off Koulibaly. He is not Premier League ready yet. Nowhere near it. You've got to get Son running and getting him turned left, right, and centre. Get Kane to drag him out at times and just run that guy ragged. James, anything you want to say, my man?
No, you guys have covered it. I definitely think that right side is definitely one to exploit today. And I'd also think that Jorginho isn't maybe cracked up to the hype everyone hypes. I've never rated Jorginho, I'm being honest. Like, I think if we can out-dominate them in centre mid, if we can get Højbjerg really closing them down quickly and Bentancur is at the top of his game, I think if we can dominate midfield, that's another area where, the game's won and lost, as we mentioned earlier. So I really do think that I think it will be Jorginho and Conte today. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just think if we can dominate Jorginho, he's a bit of a penalty merchant. So, yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely love that. Well, look, guys, I want score predictions off everybody before we end off. Jacko, what are you going with, my man? What's your score prediction? And also give your channel a plug.
I 2-1. But I'd like us to keep a clean sheet, Dave. That would be pretty spectacular. Actually, 1-0 would be also pretty glorious. But if I really were to maybe really predict the score, I think I'll go 2-1. I think 2-1, seems to be on the cards here. It seems hard, for us to get, a big scoreline against Chelsea. even Chelsea have struggled to get big score lines against us. These games have always kind of stayed, under 3 goals, by the looks of things. So I'd be surprised if there are more than 4 goals in the game. So I'm going to go 2-1 to the Spurs.
Absolutely love that. And Jack, give the channel a plug, my man. What's coming up?
What did I do recently? Center back. I think, we took a look at, what center back options, are left, maybe in the market. A lot of, Spurs fans are very, kind of concerned, who will be, that, competition for Eric Dyer. And, we kind of missed out, on a lot of center backs. I think most of the good ones, have kind of gone or, made it quite clear that they're not headed out, this summer. They're headed out the next summer. So if you want to, bring in a center back this season for Spurs, I would say check out that most recent video. I think you guys enjoy.
Yeah, do check it out, guys. Very, very interesting video. For someone like me who all my options were kind of taken away from me this summer, there's plenty of options still available, so check that out. Philip, my man, what's your score prediction, brother? And give THFC Till I Die a plug as well.
Oh yeah, I'd love to say 3-0 that would put us top of the league on goal difference. But I'm going to stick with what Jack says. I think 2-1 the Spurs. A tight 2-1. And Harry Kane and Son to get the goals.
Love that. I love that. And THFC Till I Die.
Yeah, THFC Till I Die. I'm doing a bit of work on that. Enjoying it. Yeah, I think we're on tonight after the match. I'm not quite sure what time at. It'll be a post-game. Let's hope it's not a post-mortem. Let's hope it's a happy, smiling program with lots of positivity on it. I'm sure it will be.
I've no doubt it will be. And Philip, are you still okay to join us for halftime and full time today?
As long as our electricity holds out, yes.
Absolutely love that. Big up, my man. Big up. Everybody do check out THFC Till I Die. On 570 subscribers as we speak. Let's see if we can give them the push to 600 and get them over that hurdle. But last but not least, Jamesy, first of all, it was great to have you back on, my man. It's been quite some time. But look, what's your score prediction and what can people expect coming up on the channel?
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. It's been a little while. Got to get back on these pre-match pump ups. Absolutely love them. But thanks for having me on, lads. I'm going with a Chelsea 1, Tottenham 3. I'm going for it. I'm going bold. And I'm going for Kane to score. I'm going with Kane 1, Son 1, and Kulusevski 1, and just show this Chelsea team that our front three is one of the best in Europe. Because I think it is. I really do think it is. 3-1
in Europe in 2022.
What's that?
I think we're the highest scorers across Europe in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we will concede. I think I saw a stat. Chelsea scored in 18 of their 19 home games last season, and we do normally concede to them. But 3-1. And absolutely buzzing for the game. You can find me and the other Spurs-related lads over at Spurs-related. Plenty going on over there. But I guess rather than talk about, pre-game, post-match, the kind of difference we like is the vlogs and also the quizzes, which we need to get the Champ and co back on doing the Tottenham trivia over there. It's good fun. Tottenham past and present quizzes, so it's good laugh over there. So do get over and check it out.
I'm like Floyd Mayweather, there better be someone big enough to get me out of bed, my man. Pull me out of retirement. Quiz champ. But guys, do get over there and check out Spurs Related. Absolutely doing great things as well. And his partner in crime is away on holiday, which is a crime, especially when we've got Chelsea immediate teams coming. But do check out Spurs Related. Absolutely brilliant channel, and we love James over here as well. Guys, for me, I'll just take these chats quickly. Dunkels Torque says, question for the panel, best young player of the year, Kulu or Haaland? I'm going to go with Kulu, sexy, my man. I'm going to go with Kulu.
Deserves it more because, of how he started off, his campaign in the Premier League. He even started off the campaign probably better than Haaland did, you could say, at least so far.
Haaland had 8 touches of the ball yesterday.
Still got an assist. Thank God for my fantasy Premier League. Still got an assist. I'll take that. But look, Bournemouth crowded him out. But what I will say is he probably did open up more space for them runners out wide to get in behind. Faz Radfar says no gift or error by us and win by 2 goals or more. I mean, this is my biggest problem.
Come on.
Kind of gifted Southampton their goal, gifted Roma their goal in pre-season. We keep gifting these goals, and today we can't afford to do that. First goal is going to be absolutely crucial in this game. If we give away the first goal, I think you're more than likely looking at a draw. hoping that we come back. We score the first goal. I believe we go on and win that game. I believe our fitness will come crucial in the second half, and we'll go and run riot. But exactly spot on. No gift or errors. And Faz is going for a 2-goal margin win. Absolutely love that. And Dark Son G says, I predict a Richie goal because he loves scoring versus Blues.
Oh,
and that he does, my man. That he does. He absolutely loves it. He gets up for these Chelsea games. Slick Rick does. Exactly, Jack. I wouldn't mind seeing that chicken dance across Stamford Bridge today. Mocking their fans just right across the fan base, doing the chicken. I cannot wait. Big up, Dark Son G. For me, I'm going 3-0. I'm going big today. I'm going to have faith in Eric Dyer and the boys at the back that they will be able to keep a clean sheet. Probably a bit crazy, I know, but I'll be honest. I've had a good feeling about this game all week long. And when I tend to get these feelings, I tend to be proven right by the end of the 90 minutes. So hopefully today lives up to my expectation. 3-0, back top of the league after today's game. I mean, what more do Spurs fans want? It's going to be easy today, in my opinion. Look, I know Chelsea fans are holding on to, we always get up for it. It's Tottenham, we always get up for it. Yeah, well, today you're going to need Viagra to get up for it, boys, because we're going to absolutely run you ragged and run riot all over Stamford Bridge. I cannot wait. So for me, 3-0 Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go, and let's get the 3 points and get a magnificent start to this season. And I already got that from Dark Son G. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, look, guys, we're going to end it off. I have to head over to We Are Tottenham TV to continue this pump up. So, guys, hopefully we'll see you all there. But most importantly, we see you all back here, 4 o'clock, raring and ready to go for this live watch along with your jersey on. Get the scarves out, get the hats out, and crack open the fucking beers. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
Let's go.
Spurs.
Thomas Titty won't know what fucking hit him.